expect it to happen. Astrology is science.
We can find our unique map.
Let's get into how we actually do this.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Offline Sessions. We have an incredibly substantial episode for you today, and this one has been many years in the making for some people, and for me, as of July 25. So, welcome to Tiger Woods PGA Tour 14, the Standard Edition.
EA Sports, it's in the game.
Yep, I still can't get enough of that.
EA Sports, it's in the game.
Okay, so those of you who are casually using PGA Tour 14 on our PCS3, you might even be wondering how this is possible. So, as you see here, I am using the digital version of the game, so we're talking about NPUB30931. That's 30,931 to be exact. So this version of the game is the digital release. This was what many people got when it was on early access. I don't know about the history of it beyond early access, but this is essentially how, if you wanted to have the game just be on a hard drive, you could go right for it. It also had a European release. And compared to the disc version, there actually are some stability differences in the emulator, but I'll get more into that. But first, we're going to talk about the stats here. As you see, I'm having myself, Ashley, Luna, and Kate back for this. I'm the all-around, Ashley's the speed dominant, Luna's the tactical, and Kate's the endurance. We're taking on two venues here. It's the final two venues of the Standard Edition, those being TPC Sawgrass and Valhalla. We're using Stableford criteria. It will be a very phenomenal match. You'll be very surprised as to how it all ends. But now to talk about just how this all works. PGA Tour 14, like Ultra Street Fighter 4, at least if you're running on an AMD Zen 3 and Vega 20 based system, is one of the most incredibly complex titles just because of having to do a simple file deletion. And that comes in the form of PARAM.SFO. So PARAM.SFO contains some essential data that is needed to boot the game, contains the information regarding the version build that you're using, and a few other things, especially I think pertaining to the DLC. So, as shown by Kravicka back in late July, you have to delete the param.sfo file, at least in the case of the US version. I think that's in, what, BLUS31063 of the home/game/ID folder. Sounds about right. You also have to do it for the disc. The digital versions of the game, you do not need to do this. You don't need to do this. You can still update to version 1, revision 1, so 1.01. The only problem is you can't run the DLC. And until a build of our PCS3 comes where we don't have to worry about that, regardless of if you're on Intel or AMD, we're going to be in a bit of a pickle here waiting. It's not going to be pleasant. And you notice I also bring up Ultra Street Fighter 4. Ultra Street Fighter 4 kind of has the same situation. Well, actually, based on reports from everywhere else, from everyone else on the forums, it happens with Super. It happens with Super Arcade Edition 2010, Arcade Edition 2012, Ultra Street Fighter 4, Ultra Street Fighter 4 Turbo. No, there actually is no Ultra Street Fighter 4 Turbo, but you get the point. You get the point. Ridiculous segmentation. So, not only does, well, obviously when you get rid of the param.sfo file for Ultra Street Fighter 4, you know, can't boot into the can't get the DLC. But at least on AMD systems, you know, you're able to still do the challenges, you can still do the practice mode, Versus mode you can't do, arcade mode you can't do. That is specifically a situation where you need an Intel CPU, NVIDIA GPU combo, at least for now. I don't know when the devs will fix this, but it is a known issue, and the fact that it has spanned across a plethora of games, to my shock and surprise, it's... well, I'm certain it'll get dealt with sooner or later. Now, another thing, too, I'm going to just mention here regarding frame rate. This right here, unlike what I did with 12's footage, this is going to be completely the native footage. None of this will be interpolated, and for good reason. So, you'll be seeing me play this in two forms. The first form that you're seeing here will take up, like, the first short amount of time? Is that probably the best way to say that? About, like, the first 14 to 20 or so minutes. So, as what you have to do with PGA Tour 12, in order to get optimal stability, or more importantly, to be able to load everything correctly, you have to have the PPU coder on interpreter static. For optimal frame rate, you need to have the SPU coder on LLVM. I think it's the recompiler, if memory serves correctly. If you have the PPU decoder also on LLVM, you end up with this situation. So, you see that the game can play up to 77 frames per second, maybe a little higher. Optimal frame rates can mostly be obtained when running the game, not just in Vulkan, not just with VSync disabled. Oh, no, wait, no, that's what I'm trying to say here. The game is meant for a 30 FPS environment. So anytime that you're playing above 30 FPS, the game speed is actually increased. It's mostly an input issue in this situation. And it will actually affect your ability to do swinging. As you see here, oh, it's mail time. As you see here, most of the swings under LLVM is mostly an underswing with extreme speed. That's not how the game plays on native hardware, and you shouldn't expect that. For some people, obviously, if you have the SPU coder set to interpreter static, it alleviates that issue. It'll play at its intended 30 FPS. But quite frankly, I'm okay with having it completely unlocked, get the V-blank frequency at 1800 hertz. Or is it megahertz? Either way, it can run up to 1800 FPS if it so pleases. But yeah, obviously if you have both the SPU and the PPU decoder on LLVM, especially the PPU decoder, you're going to run into an unmapped memory issue at some point if you try marathoning an entire venue. That is fixed when running the PPU decoder on interpreter static. And, oh, that's a little something that we get to show off here throughout the entire course of this episode. So, you're noticing here that Kate does not actually have a proper putter. And that's actually a problem here. I'm assuming this is an issue with Vulkan. I don't know if OpenGL has this issue too. I have not messed with OpenGL in PGA Tour 14. By the way, everything I'm mentioning here you can do in 12. And it has the same stability. So, as you saw, it looked as if Kate has basically a magic wand. Yes, that's right. With the power of telekinesis, Kate Fairbanks can easily do magic to move the ball. Oh, honestly, that's probably one of the high points of this program. Because I genuinely wasn't anticipating that when I got into recording this. I don't even remember what putter I'm using here, too. Might be, what, like a J800 series or something? I forget the names. I genuinely forget the names. Now, as you're seeing here, we're on hole 3 of TPC Sawgrass, and I haven't gotten into an unmapped memory error yet. This is the only time I have had this happen, and I cannot for the life of me explain why it occurs. So, I guess in this situation, the fact that it managed to last this long without crashing, I mean, this was 1.5 feet. Nobody probably would have anticipated this. And it also happens in 12 too. Sometimes I'll just be playing, not as, you know, the main 4 you got here, but just doing a solo test as Tiger Woods. Or Rory McIlroy, or, Creamer. Forget her name. Laura Creamer? Paula Creamer. It's one of those. You know, but yeah, sometimes it'll make it to hole 2, but it will never make it to hole 3. This is the first time I've seen it make it to hole 3 when both decoders are in LLVM. Very bizarre. But another thing too, you might notice that there's a bit of a blur whenever we get, whenever we get any of us just casually walking further down the field or to the hole. And that is actually, this blur does not exist in the native game. Apparently it has something to do with the color buffers. If you have right color buffers disabled, however, while the blur will be gone, everybody's going to look like a ghost. That's right. Just like in PGA Tour 12, all of us will have big old pale white faces. It's just like what Stewie said in that one episode of Family Guy to Brian. You're white as a ghost. You hunt us down with your ghostliness. Or something around that. I don't remember the exact line, but your white as a ghost definitely was there. I can definitely confirm that was in the script. But enough of that. Time to see Luna get this putt. Yep, goes right in. And I think that's not the end of the hole. It's not the end of the hole. I forget who finishes off here. Is it Ashley or me? Okay, it's me. Okay, I apparently finished off the hole. So, we're about to get a freeze here. You'll recognize it from the frame counter. And there. So, there you go. Unmapped memory, you'll see it at the bottom of the screen. Sometimes it pertains to the music track. Sometimes it pertains to something else in the game data. Sometimes it's illegal instruction. And illegal instruction is the one that's more common to get if you have the SPU decoder set to anything stricter than LLVM. But again, for some that's not necessary. For me, I'm already familiar with how to play PGA Tour 14 on Expert, so I don't really need to worry about what frame rate I have everything set to. So I just reset the game here. And this is now with it running on Interpreter. You already see that the game is running significantly slower. You see these loading times. You see the frame time spikes. Everything here is going as it is supposed to. At least in the eyes of the emulator. And there are a few other things I could probably mention too. Obviously, you can't access anything online mode because that's powered by the EA servers. Just like any good EA game, all the servers, I think for most I think every PlayStation 3 game no longer has its servers active. So we're gonna have to wait for PlayStation Network on. PlayStation Online Network Emulated. PS1! That's right. I had to remember the name for a sec. But either way, with all of that all done and said here, now we have to go back and redo all 18 holes because I'm not going to do a custom. I'm going for experience. So, as some of you probably saw when I said that Episode 2 of Offline Sessions would cover PGA Tour 14, at the time of this broadcast, I forget, I'm well over level 50 at this point. Ashley is somewhere in the 40s, Luna's in the 40s, and Kate is at least 40 or 41 here. So, yeah, we're all actually in pretty good hands, but I will tell you, even if I was playing this on easy and with slow course conditions, just like in PGA Tour 12, TPC Sawgrass will kick your anus. It doesn't matter how well you play this game. Your anus will be handed to you on so many holes. Like here, I got an eagle opportunity. I can tell you right now, somebody's getting ducked over. Somebody can easily get ducked over here. Oh my goodness, I forgot how bad the jank is in terms of a... So, yeah, the frame rate obviously does take a tank because of just the nature of how models are... If there are too many player models and whatnot, too many player models, too many trees, too many objects on screen, it will... Somehow that's not out of bounds. You will end up having this game just chug. And that's why you don't play the tournaments. That's why, for the time being, if you're going to play the tournaments... See, I don't know if the Xbox 360 version is feasible to use on Genia. I can't be 100% certain. I have not tried to use Genia in... Dang, since 2016. Yeah, I remember now. The reason why I couldn't back in the day was because when I was on the original E-Machines ET1331G-07W, that was, of course, running on an AMD F1 2x2 250U and NVIDIA's GeForce 6150 SE with NForce 430. Rigor and whatever the architecture was for NVIDIA at the time did not have Vulkan. And if memory serves correctly, I don't think that Devil's Canyon... I don't think that Haswell and Devil's Canyon on my Lenovo H5050 had that either. But yeah, that's the only reason why I haven't done Xbox 360 emulation. I'm certain it's better now than it probably was back then. But I can't vouch for this game's compatibility because I don't know. I don't know outside of the PlayStation 3 version. And I'm certain that because of the nature of how certain features in this game function, you probably won't be able to run it the same way as you can here. I don't know if unlocking the frame rate will still cause inputs to be out of whack. Can't vouch for that. I can't vouch for your safety. And some of you might be wondering about the palette here, because obviously this does not look... The actual game does not look this shiny. It doesn't look this multi-shaded, vibrant in some aspects. And that's the benefit of using reshade. Now, I forget exactly what effects I'm using. I'm using two sharpeners. I'm using a lens glare effect and a few other things. Let me just go into a game here in our PCS3 and I can tell you exactly what I'm using. So I'm going to boot up Counter Spy because that's the easiest thing I could just get to right away. Hit the home button. Okay, so I'm using five filters here. The sharpeners are Smart Sharp FX and Filmic Sharpen. So Smart _ Sharp and Filmic Sharpen. I mean, Sharpane? Sharpane. Ooh, that actually sounds like a nice drink. Sharpane. Okay, so for the other things, Unreal Lens, FGFX LSPOI-RR, or FGFX Large Scale Perceptual Obscurance LR Radiance. Sound about right? And then Prod 80 _02 Bloom. The rest all kind of speaks for itself. And with these particular presets, this ends up making the game... Oh, come on! Ashley was not supposed to end up in the water there! You clearly saw the ball hit the bush. I mean, the bush. The second cut! Okay, but no, so as I was trying to say... Now, many people could say what they want about how certain PGA Tour games look, but when you add in something such as certain effects in reshade like what I have here, the game actually doesn't look all too different from, say, PGA Tour 2K21. Don't get me wrong, I'm comparing a Generation 8 and 9 console game here to something from the middle, yeah, the very early late of Generation 7. But then again, when you really think about it, that kind of makes a bit of sense. 2K21 was made with the Nintendo Switch in mind. I don't care what any motherfucker says. PGA Tour 2K21 was clearly made with the Switch in mind, and that's why the graphical quality had to be kind of condensed a little to accommodate. And ultimately, I would explain why you don't see the Switch show up at all for 2K23. I can understand that. If we do get a Switch port down the road, who knows? Maybe that'll be fun for some. I know it's probably going to play at 30 FPS. And worst case scenario is Nintendo tries to slap de novo on everything. Because yes, at the time that I am discussing this, August 25 of 2022, de novo, I mean not de novo, what's the name of the company? Let me go to Twitter for a sec. The name of the company, yeah, Erdetto? I'm not 100% certain there. Either way, de novo by Erdetto. Well, some people do render it as a dirty product. But no, you get the point. Basically, yeah. The protection in question here basically would prevent Nintendo Switch titles, future Nintendo Switch titles anyway, from being playable on Yuzu and Ryujinx. And you know for a fact that somebody's gonna crack it. And I say this, I have to say it this way because unfortunately, see, the situation is, one of the biggest issues when the Xbox One came out was the discussion of DRM. In fact, Sony had the, nice hitting the flag stick, Ashley. The fact that Sony even had to make a small little commercial, how do you share games with your fellow players? Here you go. Thank you. Just to show just how bad the issues of DRM were with the Xbox One. I can clearly tell you right now that whenever the Nintendo Switch no longer gets official support, or more importantly, when the console and the online services are all discontinued, you're going to hope to duck that somebody made a crack for this particular protection so that you can run on Ryujinx, run on Yuzu, run on basically any future Switch emulator that might come out. And also so that performance issues can be alleviated, because that's apparently the biggest thing when it comes to de novo. You remember what I've said on countless occasions. When de novo version 4 revision 9 came out, any game that had it, especially Sonic the Hedgehog Mania Plus, if you were on a hard drive, if you were on an SSD, you didn't have to worry about this, but if you were on a hard drive, you had to hope that your CPU had enough manpower, horsepower, frequency. You had to basically hope that the frequency in the architecture was enough so that it would load with the quickness without it, without it hanging for about anything between 53 and probably well over 2 minutes. And I would not be surprised if that's what happens with the Switch. That's why people keep saying that we need a Super Switch. Even if it just is Switch games on a much better setup that can, you know, go up to higher resolutions, that'd be fine by me. That'd be fine by everybody. But in the current situation, lack of ability to do anything such as have performance stability or archives in exchange for security, not worth it. Not worth it. It might be worth it for some in some aspects, but not in this nature. Not one single bit. And I sympathize for anybody in the industry who has to even suffer with using this, because I know that in the event that anything happens, it'll be either Nintendo, in this case being the publisher, or a parent company choosing to use it. We'll see how that all turns out. You know, I gotta talk about the clothing direction in PGA Tour 14. 14 has an interesting way of handling the gear. So, unlike what was done with 12, and I don't know how 13 handles it, 14 runs on a level up system. So, the more experience you get, obviously you can level up anywhere between a few times per venue, or a few times per tournament, or multiple times per tournament, depending on how you have the multiplier. So for me, for all of us, I'm playing mostly on certain expert criteria, but obviously there are certain things that kind of keep the game easy. So what I'm doing here is, not only am I playing on I'm playing on 4x experience gain, and I think with like a 1.35x venue bonus, which is all fine and dandy. The only problem I have, and it's the same situation as what happened with 12, not only is clothing blocked by a paywall, actually, heck, some of you actually need to get the DLC, in this case the Masters Historic Edition, or get the Masters Historic Edition disc to even work with. But the bigger issue is definitely that you have to wait until specific levels just to be able to get certain things. Doesn't matter if it's clothing or gear. Heck, the women get the watches far later than the men. That's not right. I got 3 watches and I'm at level 50. You gotta wait until level 48 for any of the women to be able to get a watch. That ain't right. That is not right whatsoever. Heck, the black shirts that that Ashley, Luna, and Kate are wearing, I think that's the Loudmouth polo. You had to wait until level 39 to get this. The Loudmouth polo was available from the get-go in 12. For me, you're seeing I'm wearing a Lakers hoodie. I shouldn't have to wear the Lakers hoodie. I want to wear my ducking jacket, dang it. But I know, they got rid of the jacket. Yeah, the devs got rid of the jacket. Love that black jacket, but I can't wear it this time. Sad. It's sad. And even if I'm at level 99, it's not like I could do anything about it. In fact, I'm actually more so surprised that the PGA Tour 14 also has a save editor, but specifically for the Xbox 360 version. What I'm even more surprised about is that at this point, there haven't been other things like a clothing modder. Clothing mod you can't do. There's no course creator. Oh, speaking of course creators, if you have PGA 2K21, please play some of those custom courses. Man, are they beautiful! Some are even references to older PGA Tour games and even Japanese golf games from like the Famicom and early Mega Drive era. Incredibly pleasant. Heck, what is his name? You know him better as the Apex Hound. Let me see if I could let me see. Yeah. That's right. Turlock Healy. Yeah, Turlock Healy, he is the host of the Apex Hound on YouTube and I think on Twitch too, right? He covers a lot of golf games, and with 2K21, he's just been doing a lot of good stuff, just covering all the custom courses, including some modernizations of material from older the golf club entries, including the Dystopian City. The Dystopian City is ridiculous. The baseball stadium, the rock quarry. The one I actually enjoyed the most, actually, though, out of the ones I've seen so far, definitely has to be the baseball stadium. I'm loving some of the mini golf courses and whatnot too. But the concept of doing a baseball-based, baseball stadium, or even a basketball or hockey arena-based golf course, there are so many regulations that would have to come into that, especially if you're using multiple parts of town. Like, for example, if we tried doing something like that in Boston, you'd have to make all the duck and glass bulletproof. I don't care what you say. All the glass, all the windows of everybody's houses and buildings all nearby would have to become bulletproof to prevent a ball from going into someone's house. Everybody would need to get some extra insurance for their cars as well as bulletproof glass. You get the point. The concept is nice, but it would be too expensive for just one person to work with. And, you know, if money weren't an obstacle, I would happily do that. I would just buy out all of downtown Boston for, like, a full 4-day tournament. In fact, I'd probably have the game play very similar to the Fallout tournament. Yeah, if any of you are familiar with the Fallout formula that I use for speedrun tournaments, so basically, here's the lowdown for those of you who aren't aware. The Fallout formula works in the same way as F-Zero. Runners have to meet a certain checkpoint and not be in last place, or within a certain threshold. So, like, for example, if there are 8 runners, and I say you gotta get to a checkpoint in rank 6, if you're in rank 7 or 8 when you pass that checkpoint, you're eliminated. There are certain other formulas I would probably have that in too, and also certain other forms of criteria. It probably might not be, reach a certain level. It might be reach a certain score, or do certain things in order to progress to the next checkpoint. We'll have more on that when we actually have events going, but I'll discuss that at a better time. But back to the concept of golf. Golf under the Fallout formula, we could either have it be one of the following. One, we can have it like Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout and F-Zero, where you have to be in a certain threshold and complete it within a certain time in order to go to the next area. Basically, you have to be faster than everyone else. Or number 2, you have to be within a certain score threshold. If you don't meet the score threshold, you're eliminated. In fact, that's kind of how Ninja Warrior does it too, when you think about it. Because with Ninja Warrior, in some aspects you have to beat your opponent's time, and in other aspects, if you fall into the water, you're out of the game. And that's why by the time you reach the final round, there will only be a few people remaining. And that's kind of how I would handle a Fallout formula style golf tournament over the course of, say, maybe a day or a few days. It's a nice concept here. Also, here I am showing off Luna. But not just showing off Luna, I'm also showing off how the lighting of PGA Tour 14 works on the green. For the time, you could not get a better looking green than this. At least until 2K21 and the Golf Club series came out. Everybody's golf, I have not touched. I've seen some of it. I'm actually more so surprised that you can feasibly get condors on that. Yeah, that's right. People can get a hole in one on a. Yeah, I'm right. Holes in one on a par 5. And I actually need to deliver a bit of a follow-up to the last time I was talking about scoring, because, you know, when I was just talking about ostriches, phoenixes, now we knew that an ostrich is either a hole-in-one on a par 6, or if you manage to hole your second shot on a par 7. A phoenix is a hole-in-one on a par 7, or you hole your second on a par 8. I don't know anybody that has a par 8 so far. And that's still foreign territory to me. So, I mean, what is it? Is it Gunsan country? Is it Gunsan or Gunsan? The country club in South Korea with the 1,097-yard par 7. See, the thing is, if things in Korea weren't always so passive aggressive in terms of intensity, political tensions, I probably would go to South Korea just to play on this course. Now, I don't have any gear. I would happily, you know, save up a few thousand, buy the gear, and just go out there for a good game. But it is something I would definitely love to see. Yeah, definitely would love to see at some point down the road. It would be nice if Gunson gave, I mean, yeah, if it got a custom course adaptation. And back to that, I really hope that whenever Electronic Arts comes out with, dang, what's it even going to be called? Is it just going to be called PGA Tour 24? Because, see, the thing is, when Rory McIlroy came out, that was originally promoted as EA Sports PGA Tour before it got renamed. And I'm assuming that's what's going to be the same situation here. EA Sports PGA Tour is a placeholder name. So I would hope, yeah, if it's not called 23, if it's not called 24, it's probably going to be called 24, knowing us. Yeah. Let's just hope it has a course creator. But let's also hope it doesn't have the same ducking segmentation that the 12 to 14 had. I'm kind of okay with what 2K23 is doing, because, you know, the Deluxe Edition, the Tiger Woods Edition, the only really big difference is that you're just getting some extra skins. You get to play as Michael Jordan. You get some nice clubs and gloves, especially some nice gold stuff. But I don't know what, like, the really big difference is between them outside of that. But again, if it's just purely equipment, that's okay. You could get yourself the standard edition and you wouldn't be missing out on much. You could get the PC version of the game and you probably wouldn't miss out on much. You could get the cracked version of the Tiger Woods edition and probably not miss out on much. But when Electronic Arts was doing collector's editions of 12 to 14, you remember, unless if you knew the proper channels, you wouldn't be able to get the bonus courses. In fact, there were actually courses that were not available unless if you got it pre-ordered from Amazon, GameStop, and a few others. I actually need to take a look and see, because I don't remember. I do not exactly remember this. Was it Pasta Padre that had the article? Yeah, it was Pasta Padre that had the article. Okay, so, if memory serves correctly, Bethpage Black, Pinehurst No. 2 Old Course, and Whistling Straits. Bethpage Black was only available via Amazon. Pinehurst No. 2 Old Course was available via GameStop. And Whistling Straits was available via Walmart. I don't remember if these are also available as DLC courses. Like, as just like traditional DLC. Or if you know, hold up here. No, you know what? It is. It's part of the 14 courses pack. So there were two DLC packs that really mattered. So you could buy the Masters Historic Edition, which would give you the 6 courses from that game, and the 6 courses from that 6 courses from that edition of the game, regardless of if you had it on disc or not. You had the 14 courses pack, and then you had the TPC pack, which gave you Boston, River Highlands, Scottsdale, and San Antonio. Now, I have not touched any of the DLC courses. I hope some of these will actually be better than how they turned out way back in the day. I mean, the Predator. The Predator is probably one of the worst venues in the series just because of how delicate you need to get the ball curving around so many twists and turns. You have to be knocking it through palm trees, hoping that a lion won't be yelling at you when it happens. Now, if memory serves correctly, the Predator's supposed to be like a Mayan temple, right? Or something around. You're supposed to be in South America, to my knowledge. Because, I mean, yeah, you see a temple that looks like Lost World Zone, yes, in Sonic Adventure 98. And that's basically what I've always given an analogy towards. My goodness, is it really that warm outside? Okay, I need to explain. It has been humid here for the past, matter of weeks. Of course, any of you here in Massachusetts, you know we have had a ridiculous heat wave. 25 or 26 days with 80 degrees or more. There were 3 days here at Home Base 7 here in Lynn where we hit 97 degrees in the house. My recording room hit 94 3 times. Yeah, one in mid-July. I think it was actually, it was a Sunday. If it wasn't July 20... Yeah, if it wasn't July 24, it was the 31st, and then twice back-to-back on August 7 and 8. And the rest of the house hit 97. Some of that was unfortunately brought on due to wear and tear on the house's roof. But that was a few years back, and also due to a squirrel incident. Yep, somehow a squirrel ended up coming in and chewing up all the wires for our upstairs bathroom. So, yep, no lighting, no use of the wall. You can still use the water, but yeah, that's gonna need some repairs. But that'll be dealt with at a better time. More on that later. But either way, I mean, today's actually a pretty decent day. If I go to Microsoft Network Weather and I take a look, the temperature is 78. It's 85 in my room. It's 85 here in a recording room, and I'm trying my best not to have the fan on intake because I'm using a Geneva Polar Air fan, but that doesn't really matter. The brand of fan doesn't matter. Well, actually, the make and model does, however. Because so long as I can do something on exhaust, so long as it's not loud, that's all fine and dandy. You're probably hearing wind as this is blowing on it right now, as blowing on the Sony IC recorder's microphone. But throughout the course of the past week and change, as you know, it's been dry here. After the heat wave ended, oh hey, corrupt Vulcan textures! Yeah, this is why I have this rated as special. Anybody who has epilepsy, please be careful, because this is incredibly dangerous to work with. But yeah, over the past week, we've had brush fires. Breakheart Reservation in Saugus, Lynn Woods, you name it, and it all moves northeast, or it moves from west to northeast and trails all the way over to the hot beach. Some of y'all's living in the hot right now, and you're smelling it, or at least you were at the time. I cannot imagine, or I can't remember the last time there were so many days where I basically pulled a Jason Griffith and was basically saying the whole. Sorry, that did not sound right. The whole city's on fire. We should not be in a time where literally every day feels like Crisis City. But that's how it feels. And I remember what happened there. Yeah, that was a bad break. That was a bad break, and yeah. Yeah, so unfortunately there is no real remedy for dealing with the this in Vulcan. You have to just let it ride. And the only way to let it ride is hope to duck that there's something underneath or above those flickering textures where you can see what's going on going on underneath. So with this break, I'm not really 100% certain as to what I should do, because I think there's a double break there going left to right, and somehow I got the birdie. Man, I've already been going 44 minutes of this. 44 minutes, and I kind of feel like we're still stuck. Well, we are still stuck in the first half. We're on hole 8. Man, see, that's what happens when you have to really just go all out, talk about literally anything, doesn't matter what it is, and just wing it. because in some aspects, I kind of feel that that's basically what has fueled my commentary style up to now. I've said this a few times. Because, you know, I've learned from the best. Joshua Adams of Picked Up on a Bus. Jamie Clement of Clement's Corner. Ryan Malice, Louis Medeiros, John Ortiz, Ted Wyson, and the people who make up Brain Scratch commentaries. The Super Gaming Brothers. Derek and Company at Game Explain. Find a Computer Room. Yeah, with N-Tom. Yeah, N-Tom, Gareth, and everyone. Yeah, Rambling seems to basically be the future of commentary, and that's not bad. It's always been good. For somebody that, you know, is probably just talking into a microphone for, in my situation here, 3 hours on end. Well, actually, no, it's going to be 1.5. It's going to be 1.5 hours today because, I probably don't have time. Yeah, I don't have time to do the second half today because of news coverage. And yeah, so I'll deal with the rest on the 26th. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I'm in a position where any subject that just comes to mind, it's easy to just let it roll off the tongue, see if it does something. And if it does something, good for it. If it doesn't, stop, erase, go back to the drawing board. And that's actually sadly what happened. See, the thing is, whenever I do Royameadow Modern Legacy episodes for World of Illusion. Now, you guys remember when I did World of Illusion back in Season 3? Was it Season 3? It was Season 3. Yeah, it was either Season 3 or 4. But either way, World of Illusion, what happened with that game? Now, there were supposed to... It was basically supposed to be 3 separate commentaries. So, I would handle the Mickey Mouse commentary alone. And then me and Troy Gooscott of Super TNT 94, you might know his channel better now as the one called TNT. Yeah, me and Troy Troy and I were supposed to do the Donald Duck commentary, and in fact we did. There is still an audio recording from 2013 that's still on my hard drives today. The problem, however, was due to the limitations of the audio recorder I was using. What was the name of it? I can't even remember. Fortunately, I mean, it's right here in Virtual DJ. I can probably call it up. But I can't for the life of me remember its name. I think it started with an M. No, it did not. Okay. So type in recorder in Virtual DJ. Amolto, that's what it was called. Yeah, Troy and I, we did, yeah, if I remember correctly, it was March 18 of 2013. I remember this vividly. Or was it the 24th? Okay, it was either March 18 or March 24. No, July 24. Whenever I did World of Illusion, let me look at World of Illusion. Let me type in the name. World of Illusion. Oh, come on, chill. Yep, it was in July. So, again, I was still on the original eMachines eMachines desktop, and the Athlon 2x2 250U simply could not handle recording on a dual core. See, the thing is, if I had a 1090Ti back then, you know, a Phenom 6 core, I probably would have been able to do the multitasking without an issue, but no. This low-power CPU just was not able to handle the job. And I feel bad about that because, you know, I wanted to do a lot with that, but unfortunately, yeah, I'll have to wait until Troy and I can just meet up at some point and just redo the Donald Duck part of the commentary. And then, as you remember, Gabriel and I did the co-op commentary. So at least we did that. At least we got co-op out of the way. Co-op was fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. Gabriel was he was ridiculously tired because of just the calm nature of the game. I understand. I completely remember the second that I put on the TV, I put on the news after that, and it's like he completely woke up. I understand that, and that's kind of the situation with most Disney games in general, at least until Epic Mickey came out. Like, until Epic Mickey, you were basically dealing with incredibly slow-paced games, or at least games that should feel like that they're supposed to go quicker, but they don't. Yeah, it's all coming back to me now. I'm starting to remember. And yeah, by the time that I reached Legend of Illusion, because I mean I have recordings of that, I just need to actually get on to discussing it, because I mean that entry, we went for so many years without an entry after that. Man. And that was based on the Prince and the Pauper, right? No. The final episode of Mickey Mania was based on the Prince and the Pauper. But yeah, you can tell that there's just a lot of stuff I want to revisit. And I ultimately know how I want to do it. I just don't know when I'll get to do it. And that's the problem with me. I just have hundreds, if not thousands, of projects that I have done over the years that have not seen a public release. Countless mashup mixes, countless music video concepts, a full ducking music album that I just have not had the opportunity to record. Programs that I have had on the back burner, I have the concepts down on paper, I just don't have the filming equipment. I don't have the real estate. And again, it's just all brutal. I mean, what are the odds of me maybe, I don't know, winning the lottery someday, and I'll be able to just do all of this? That would be nice. That would actually be nice. The Royameadow Community Production Studio would be made somewhere in the greater Boston area. That would be my home base 9. I'd be able to have everybody, you know, come over. You want to hang out? You want to work on something? You can do that. I got a big old series of rooms you could do the filming in. That's basically the kind of mindset I would have. That area would be treated so much, not just like a house, but a business, that I would never have to worry about feeling restricted in the kind of creative works I can do anymore. And it's kind of like what I've said to some fellow members online in recent time. Gaming was never supposed to stick with this, at least with my line of work, full time. It never was 100% meant to be a true dominating force of this channel. The reason why I've stuck with it is because it's the easiest thing to do. It's the easiest and most cost-effective thing. And that actually comes back to the concept of even why I'm talking over emulation of PlayStation 3 titles. And it's because the PlayStation 3 was the last console that I actually put real money into. I don't own a lot of Generation 8 or 9 games. I don't even own a Generation 8 or 9 console. I have put I've probably put maybe about $2,000 into the PlayStation 3 alone because of all the games that I bought over the years. And yet, still at GameStop, they will say, we will only take all of these games for maybe like $1.21, maybe with like a $20 credit card or something. You get the joke. You get the whole joke on GameStop's return policy. People have run that into the ground at this point. And you can just tell that, yeah, at this point, it's like the PlayStation 3 library is about to basically go. Oh, in the event that the Sony Sony Interactive Entertainment, I'm never gonna call it that. I don't like SIE. I prefer SCEs. SCE was easier to remember. SCE is what I'll stick with. So yeah, I'll stick with SCE. Easier on the mind, easier on the memory. And is Kate about to get a ball that's easy on the ground? Yeah. Yeah, you kind of got to be careful here with this particular split because, yeah. Now, you see, the thing is, I think when Ashley will end up having like 95 for speed, oh, sorry, not speed, power. Power. But I say speed because essentially speed and power are the same thing in this game. Ashley will be able to bomb the ball down the fairway at like over 300 meters, basically about the same length as what Tiger Woods can handle. But the problem is, if you're not careful and if you don't curve it right, you will end up in the water. Doesn't matter how bad the wind is. I'll be truthful. I play on calm with wind gusts because, you know, that's all I'm best known to handle. I don't like gale force. Gale force is a disaster, no matter how hard you play. Yeah, no matter how well you play. For weather, I play on steady rain because it's, well, one, I like the sound of rain in the background, but number two, the greens are actually easier to work with in the rain than they ever could be when it's dry. And that's why I was actually having such a problem with TPC Boston when I was playing 12. It didn't matter I was playing on 11, 11, 10, 16 criteria, or what you better know from me as EATs. But 11, 11, 10, 16 was, again, the least of our problems. Your ball just rolls so badly when you don't have steady rain. With steady rain, you have to make sure that you add extra power to your putt. That's fine. I can have Ashley get an eagle if I want to. I can have myself get an eagle. I can have Luna and Kate get an eagle. Oh, by the way, stick around for the second half. If you want to watch Valhalla, you're going to have a fun time. Somebody, one of us gets a double eagle. Yeah, that's right. One of us is going to get a double eagle for the first time in this game's run, at least on my end. Oh, man, that's going to be a fun time for all of us. Dang, who got the double eagle in okay. Yeah, that's right. Ashley got the double eagle on Wolf Creek 5, and I got the hole-in-one on Augusta Par 3-7. That's right. Augusta Par 3-7, and that was in the rain. Was that in the rain? I think, yeah, it was in the rain. I remember that day. Heck, I even filmed the aftermath of it. That was ridiculous. I still have not gotten an ace in this game, though. Obviously, if you're going to get a hole-in-one, it's not going to be on a par 5. Not unless if you're fully spec'd out. And there might potentially come some requirement for you to, hold up. Dang it, there's an air bubble stuck in the bottom of my throat and I can't have it come out. Yeah, you're probably not going to feasibly do a hole-in-one on any of the PGA Tour 14 courses unless if you have the difficulty set to, whatever the novice difficulty is. Basically, 1x, yeah, 1x experience. Honestly, though, you can understand why I am not a fan of the concept of playing with 1x, because I don't need to really be given too many baby steps going through golf. And knowing how bad level ups actually are in this game, yeah, you kind of have to be at 4x from the get-go. I've tried 6x and I don't like it. I don't like having to use I don't like having to use certain things such as stance. I don't like having to constantly do a diagonal swing. There's just so much of a problem that this game has with the new aiming system that you're better off just sticking with your guts. Sticking with your guts? Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's either stick with your guts or stick with your guns, and stick with your guts is probably more algorithm friendly here. But yeah, you get the point. Stick to what you know best. Don't try going for the extreme stuff. It's not worth it. And I actually sympathize with PlayStation Move players because I don't know how you folks handle playing the game on 6x criteria. I just don't know. I would, however, at some point love to try PlayStation Move emulation, or just see how it functions on this system. I don't know how I would probably have the sensor set up. I don't even know if my PlayStation 3 eye camera is necessary for it, but that's definitely something I'll have to keep an eye on. And this recording's about to hit the 1 hour mark. So, yeah. If you tuned in, welcome to Offline Sessions. We are still going through TPC Sawgrass. We're having a fun time getting some good birds. Yeah, that's right. Give them the bird. Okay. This does not... See, I don't like double breaks like this. I really don't. So I'm just going to wing it. And lo and behold, it goes in. It's an eagle. That does not actually sound correct as you... It's not going to sound right on microphone. It sounds better in person. That's basically a, like a death metal version of the eagle cue or double... Yeah. If you get an eagle or a double eagle in Neo Turf Masters, it sounds kind of like that. Obviously not 100%, but yeah, it's fun stuff. It's always fun stuff. Alright, Kate, let's see if your magic wand can get the ball in the hole. She's probably going to assess the hole here. Yeah, you really have to assess double breaks, and... Ah! Dang it! I knew she should have done a left. Yeah, it curves right at the last second. See, that's one of the hard parts of playing a game like this. Because double breaks like that, when it moves from right to left, or if you get the incredibly rare quadruple break, when you see a hard left, a slight right, a slight left, and then an even bigger hard right. And these aren't even on expert holes, mind you. Sometimes this is at Augusta. You cannot for the life of you get that in. The ball just won't go through. You'll get close. You might be a few inches away, but you'll lag up. And that's fine by me. Now, what was that track? Huh. You know, there have been a lot of people playing music from the early to mid-2000s lately. You know, I'm actually kind of happy about that. And we've also seen that a lot on TV lately. We haven't had to worry about listening to Indie Girl and Emo Boy. We haven't had to worry about listening to Higga Bajigga Trap, or what some of you better know as drill music. It's actually pleasant that I don't have to worry about that nearly as much. Because, I mean, earlier this year, 2021, 2020, 2019, that's all that was being shoved down our ducking throats. Heck, back in 17... I wanted to make a, you might remember when Hobson, I think back in 2015, he made a music video for the track called No Words. And yeah, that's basically what Higga Bajigga Trap is. Everybody's saying words that sounds like gibberish at first, until you actually take a look at the transcript. And I wanted to do something similar to that, and I still do. Whenever I get the community production studio built, that track's getting made. Track will be called Higga Bajigga, it'll be on this channel, and who knows, with some good promotion and dedication, it could easily go viral. But that'll be part of that big collaboration album that I want to do. More on that at a better time. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I don't like this whole... Yeah, Ashley has to do the same thing. Ashley's gonna miss this by a little bit in the same regard as me. Or was it Luna that missed? No. Ashley lagged up close. Somebody gets it, though. Yeah, I think it's Luna that gets this. I think, yeah, if memory serves correctly, yeah, Luna doesn't have to worry, and then Kate just has an easy time. I think that's how that turns out. By the way, it's supposed to be, again, this is steady rain. It's raining. Yet look at it. It's bright. It's vividly bright. Well, actually, in some parts of the area, it's dim over there. And another thing, too. This is late afternoon. I appreciate what PGA Tour 14 brought to the table when it came to time of day. So, it's actually very similar to Chaotix. The only downside is, unlike Chaotix, you can't just have a hole constantly going from one thing to the next and expect it to work. Basically, the way that I'm putting this is, don't anticipate that you'll start in the morning and you'll end at night. No. So what this is here, so you have your presets. You got morning. So when I say morning, I mean we're talking about like early morning, not even like 4 to 6 a.m. We're talking about maybe 5 to 6:30, possibly 7 a.m. for those on DST. Then you have noontime. Noontime, I think, goes deep into at least maybe 2 p.m. Late afternoon is at least 6 or 6:30, and it goes at least all the way to 7:30, maybe even prime time. But by the time that you reach hole 18, the sky's going to be duck and dark. It's going to feel like, all right, everybody, pack up the things, time to go home. And then, you know, you hear DJ's vocal cue from Super Street Fighter 2 when he loses. No, 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 no. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like, everybody, time to go. No, we don't want to go. Yeah, that's essentially the situation there. And then you got nighttime. I love what nighttime looks like in this. I am not going to wing that. Oh, wait, no, I wung it. I winged it. I winged it as Luna, and then... Okay, so in reality, I probably shouldn't have done a pitch shot. You see, one of the things I've mastered during my time playing PGA Tour 12 is if you end up deep in a second cut or between the trees, you want to use the 3-wood. Either use the 3-wood or your driver with a low power shot, nothing above 25%. Not only will you end up back on the fairway or the green, but you might actually get it in the hole. There have been so many times where I've had that happen, and man, does it just feel pleasant. It's not as simple, though, in 14 because of just how the power structure works. Again, you really got to be quick. And as you see here with that, one of the problems that Ashley and I have with our irons, Kato doesn't have this problem often. Oh, I said Kato! I said Kato! Yeah, I forgot, yeah. So Kato is what Kate's first name would be said in Japanese. That's right. It's a force of habit for me in house to call her Kato. It rolls off the tongue easier sometimes. Hey, there she is. All right. Let's get this. This is a bird or is it an eagle? Nope. This would be a bird. Okay, but yeah. So so basically, Ashley, Kate, and I have issues with our irons where, if we swing even at 70%, it's going to be too much. Only when it's a steep incline do you want to actually max power it. Other than that, low or mid-level irons should be fine. I'm not 100%... No, same thing, too, for the wedges. The iron swings are overpowered. The wedge swings are overpowered. That's when you want to be a control-based player. And as you see, me, Ashley, and Kate, we're all power-based. Luna's the only one who's control-based. You know what, speaking of control, I actually do need to play that. At some point, I will go on a binge. I'll do the Max Payne games. I'll do Alan Wake, Quantum Break, Control, Alan Wake 2. and so forth. But with Control, when Control came out in 2019, see, the thing is, I didn't find out about it for a bit, but man, see, the thing is, I love Courtney Hope as Sally Spectra, and I love that we can basically have what is essentially a third-person shooter with Silver the Hedgehog-style mechanics. This is what Sonic Team should have done with Silver the Hedgehog back in 2006. Give him his own spin-off series that plays like this. And I hope that, you know, after whatever happens with Adventure X Frontiers, I hope we do end up getting some character spin-offs because, quite frankly, it's been overdue. You know, the open world template of Adventure X Frontiers. Yeah, I might need to alternate between both, but at least you'll understand what I mean with both here. You know, we're getting something we haven't seen in a long time. Basically, what happens when the modern Sonic formula is brought into Metroid, or Metroid formula is brought into modern Sonic. Never happened before outside of fan games. Tails Adventure is the last Metroid-style Sonic game that we've had, and that was in 1995. We've been, what, like... Is this 27 years late to the party on this? Yeah, we've been waiting 27 years for something such as this to happen, and we finally got it. It should not have taken this long for open world to become a regular normalcy. Because, don't get me wrong, when Lake Fepard came out with Chrono Adventure, I was just dogging that. I was dogging up that game in October of 16. I had a field day with it. And I was wondering, like, okay, when is this going to be brought to 3D? Come 6 years later. And here we duck and are. Here the duck we are. Oh, come on! Kate should have gotten that. No! See, again, these breaks are not pleasant, but then again, I'm playing on tournament course conditions. I must expect better of myself here, and better of the course. But I also expect the course to dupe me sometime. Again! No! That's not how that works! Go and they know, game! Go and they know! Do I have to bring up the... no, I can't do Scottish right now. Oh, no wonder why I can't do Irish and Scottish accents right now. Man, my nose is clogged. Yep, it can't smell a thing out my right nostril. Wow. Oh man, that is painful. It's not as painful as you think. I'm just not able to smell anything. Oh, that's why the air is clean. Yeah, the air is completely clean. But you know what? Back to the problem on air quality. So as I was trying to say before, yeah, the problem was every single time, when we were having the brush fires, I would try to have the fan on intake, and because I'm where I am in Lynn, in this case the Highlands outskirts, one of the highest points of town on the Z-axis, you know what I'm about to say. We deal with smoke. We deal with hazardous chemicals. We deal with everything that we shouldn't have to deal with. And the rest of the town also deals with similar. In this situation, though, anytime I put the fan on intake, I would be exhaling for a good amount of time, and I'd have to set it back to exhaust because, yeah, I'd have to burn up just because the city was burning. That's not right. And as part of the reason why I have to bring up the topic of climate control again. I've always wanted to do climate control in some capacity. If money weren't an obstacle, we would experiment with, like a dome-like structure to see how we could easily use panels to block the sun, kind of similar to, solar lenses. But they wouldn't be as black as solar eclipse lenses. The eclipse lenses, no, that's a totally different situation, but you get the point. The way I would handle it is the temperature would be completely locked at 60. Flat 60. Didn't matter what time of day it is. Daytime, 60. Afternoon, 60. deep in the dead of after dark, so that's 2 to 5 p.m. a.m. 2 to 5 a.m. How can I duck that up? 60 degrees. Whenever we get rain, 60 degrees. Whenever we get snow, actually no, it will be dropped to 32. When is it best to get snow? See, I'm trying to think here. Yeah, because if it's 32 degrees, it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous at this point because at that point, it's yeah, all the snow is too wet. If it's in the single digits or negative numbers, like we had earlier this year, we had like a big deep frost, and it actually did a lot of damage to some of the houses around here, and also some of its garages and whatnot. I was seeing wood degradation on many people's areas. Man. But all the snow, soft. It felt like powdered sugar. The way you could pick it. Actually, no. More like regular powder. No, not even powdered sugar. You could just pick up the thing, rub it around your hands. Your hands would probably get cold. Not as cold as sticking your hand in liquid nitrogen, but don't stick your hand in liquid nitrogen. It's gonna sting. It's gonna sting badly. Any of you in the extreme overclocking scene, you motherfuckers are troopers. You guys are ducking troopers. Oh man, because I mean, I can only imagine what would happen if that was to pour on somebody. Probably have to take off your clothes and have to get yourself cleaned right away. I don't know how toxic it is, so I can't be 100% certain. But yeah, it probably would sting. Probably not as bad as that, but you get where I'm going with this. And yeah. And we're already on hole 17. As you can see, this is a pretty tight game between all of us. Anybody could win. But here we go, hole 17. I hate this hole in 12, and I hate this hole even more on Expert in 14. This hole is the definition, the true definition of know what the duck you're doing before you swing. Do not overswing. Do not undershoot. You're going in the water. It doesn't matter how much spin you put on it. You're better off either landing near the flag or your best ending up in the sand. Do not do what I'm about to do here. Now, for those that aren't familiar with how Stableford works, if you miss your bogey shot, that's considered a scratch and you lose 3 points. I lost the hole. This is what cost me from potentially bringing my run to a playoff or even to total victory. Just screwing up on this. So I undershot the first time, overshot the second, bounced on the rough into the water. And that's it. I have no chance of getting any points from there. The only thing that could have saved me in the final hole is a double eagle. And as I said, a double eagle is incredibly rare to get. Not to mention the fact that if you do, that's 8 points. 8-point double eagle in Stableford can make or break your run. It can keep the run close, and it can even bring you back in the clutch. And I kind of feel bad that the TPC venues... TPC is probably one of the hardest venues to do this in. I don't know the history of this on at least that front. I'll actually need to check in official PGA Tour tournaments and probably some other tournaments that I don't know about. But man, does everybody miss here? No, Luna gets par. Yeah, so Luna's fine, Kato's fine. I'm sorry, that magic wand putter. You know, it's like, where is this in 2K? Where's this in 2K21? I mean, as you've probably seen from some episodes of the Apex Hound, you see that there is indeed a flamingo. There's a flamingo putter, or is it a flamingo driver? I forget. No, it's a putter, and it's backwards. It's a backwards putter. It doesn't look like it's supposed to work, but it does. And that's the one thing that stands out. It's nice on the eyes. Okay, so here we go. Final hole of TPC Sawgrass. As you see, it is deep into the dead of evening. All right, everybody, it's time to go home. No, 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 no. That's never gonna get old. And you also see this. The tree textures are glitched. So it actually kind of looks like we're in a neon city. Kind of looks like we're in Vegas. Ah, yeah. I like the concept of playing golf in an area that kind of looks like a whole bunch of Vegas style buildings. Now, I know that golf at some point was introduced in the Grand Theft Auto series. I think it debuted in Vice City Stories. I think we got it in Grand Theft Auto 4. I think it's in Chinatown Wars, and I know for a fact it's in Grand Theft Auto V. But if it were in, imagine if this were in San Andreas. The second that you get to the Las Venturas saga, and you're having CJ smacking balls all the way off the top of the Duckin' Pyramid, yeah, that would be pleasant on the eyes. I would love to see how high that would go. Somebody, whenever GTA Trilogy Definitive modding becomes more common standard, make a golf mod. For duck's sake, import Grand Theft Auto V's golf game and just go to town. We would love that. I would love to see how well that would turn out. Yeah, there'd be a golf course in every single part. In Los Santos, in the countryside, San Fierro, desert, Las Venturas. Heck, why not the Liberty City revisit? And let's see. Also inside Boozy Moose Casino. And what about inside Big Smoke's Fortress during End of the Line? I'd be down for that. I'd be down for that, and it would be essential towards that mod's 100% completion. Speaking of GTA modding, I hope at some point that we do finally get a proper forward port of TT Dissa. Now, for those of you who don't know, TT Dissa, that's things to do in San Andreas till you're dead. That is the true director's cut of San Andreas that delivers 11 unused missions, upping the total from 100 to 111. Has a whole anus load of unused dialogue, extra material that should have been in the original game, and it actually delivers some proper clarity for certain things. I think including all the you actually get certain phone calls involving all the girlfriends breakups and certain just other things that deliver proper context. What actually shocks me more, though, is that Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the introduction, was never brought over into video game form. I mean, don't get me wrong, you have the 10 Penny Saga story mod, but that doesn't fully fulfill the desire to truly see all of that truly brought into HD. And I'm kind of surprised that Rockstar didn't even follow up with that. Its developers should do it. They know that the fan base would love it, and I know one thing for sure: we're going to a playoff. So, in this situation, Stableford playoff, play till you drop. Basically, that's the best way to put it. So, keep making holes until somebody gets the better hole. So, Luna and I, we're out because we didn't have enough points. Kato and Ashley, it's all you. The floor's yours. And it's kind of nice to see these particular holes with the even darker palette. Because, again, it really just shows how darker things are getting, how much time is actually being spent. I always have a fun time watching the playoff on Augusta 18. Augusta National 18 is always such a fun experience, especially when it's like 3, 4, 5 people on the final hole duking it out because they're all tied at the top. And I hope one day, if there ever comes a time where, I have a massive golf hangout or a golf date that, we can do this. If we end up tied, we'll stay there until the I mean, How would it be put? How would it be put? No, we would be there. Yeah, we'd be there until the dead of night, just making sure that this hole gets filled by one of the balls. All right. I guess this is ending up as MA13 because of that one line. Wait a minute. No, it's already rated special. You can't rate it. You can't give an MA13 rating if it's you know what? No, I take it back. Syndication. That's right. When this program is in syndication proper, it'll be MA13. But in online broadcast, it's rated special. Completely unrated. Completely unrated, even though everything I'm talking about is about golf. Yes. I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying myself here. Ooh, that doesn't look like a good position to get a hole. And yet, somehow, some way, I think this one also ties out. As I said, this particular playoff is 3 holes. I hope I have enough battery on this one. See, I'm using the Duracell rechargeable AAA batteries I've had since... Oh, dang, when did I get these? Was it 2013 or 12 or so? These batteries are at least they're at least 8 to 10 years old. The battery's been at 1 for the past for basically more than half the broadcast. I'm actually quite surprised that it's able to hold. But yeah, I hope it can last another 4 minutes because that's all I need. I just need 4 minutes. Give me 4 minutes of your time, batteries, and we'll have a good time. We'll have a gay old time, just like it says in the Flintstones. All right, 1 more hole in this playoff, and we'll see how this all turns out. By the way, the hug kiss message, you know, XOXO, I swear that was completely unintentional on my part. I don't think there was actually a feasible way to nail that without that happening. Is this hole 2? No, it's hole 2! Oh no! Okay, you guys are in for, if you get hole 2, this is, yeah, oh, I'm sorry, Ashley, that was not anticipated there. But yeah, this is an incredibly bad hole to get during a playoff, because if somebody ends up in the tree, it's pretty much, Kate should have hit the tree. I can tell you that right now. Those leaves have invisible hitbox detection. It's so minimal, but you can feel it no matter what. Oh, you know what? I'm noticing here I have a 3 hybrid on Ashley. I probably should have given her the 2. I have the 2 hybrid on myself because I know that there are times like this where I need the extreme distance, especially in moments where, you know, I'm firing straight from the dirt. And yeah, that probably would have benefited Ash here. This probably would have ended up being a draw if that kept going. But I mean, for the most part here, regardless of how you see this, this is all free real estate. This is all free experience for Ashley and Kate because the 2 of them are just duking it out in extra holes. This is technically hole 21. Yeah, and even if Ashley were to make this here, it's not enough. It's sadly not enough. Yeah, because I know we're at the end of the footage now. Does Ashley at least get par? That's all we ask. Get the par. Yeah. And that's it. All that Kate needs now is that eagle. And you guys knew I had to put in Neo Turf Masters at some point. But yeah, that is basically the end of that hole, man. That was... Oh, the O is a 0! Oh, that's right. But yeah, this is fun. This is fun. I'm honestly enjoying myself. This is good. Just good old-fashioned classic golfing fun. And yeah, so that's going to be the end of the first half of this broadcast. So we're about to go to station break, and when we come back, we will be going to Valhalla, home to glitched textures, apparently. So yeah, with that, you know what I said during the original pilot episode of Offline Sessions. You know how this works. Get up, stretch your legs, go to the bathroom, get some food, do whatever the duck you need to do while we air 5 minutes of commercials, promoting all of our good people and probably some products that we use. So with that, we will be back. Royameadow will return after these words from your local Royameadow stations. This is RoyaNet Channel 16 Boston, Banga. From senior high school basketball highlights to music videos and dance routines, Mangala Umbangu of Royameadow Neo Generation 1 has got something to satisfy all ends of the urban demographic. Check out what's showcasing from him and his crew on his social media handles at banga.official.
Gunshot or firework? Which one?
Welcome to TGST HD Lin Super TNT 94. Since 2010, Royameadow Generation 3 co-head administrator Troy Gooscott has been covering game reviews and anime highlights, among other things, at the local level. To watch his material, you may find it right here on YouTube. When you hear a boom, you know it's Super TNT.
We're not that funny.
Now I'm stuck here.
Oh, you think you got it
Yes. Have that lotion on the counter.
My vampires need to stay in the realm of
What the hell? We're matching.
Oh,
Radiant.
Chanda Unique, RoyaNet Channel 57, Corvallis. Chanda is available via the following social media handles and many more to come. Merchandise is available on Teespring and ChandaUnique.com. Keyword, Unique Chanda. Programming is also made available in Eugene via CDUQ-EG. Programming on Royameadow is powered by Sony. delivering countless technologies to the consumer base and companies alike for north of 75 years.
It's a Sony.
Alright everybody, welcome back. It is 1:57 over here on the Eastern Coast on August 26th. So now we're about to go into the second half of this broadcast, but before we go to Valhalla, we have to do some customization. But not in the way that you think. So, there is actually a bit of an issue here when you have to do customization, because if you try going to the character customization area on interpreter static for the PPU decoder, it's gonna chug. It's gonna chug no matter what you do. So your best bet here is reset the game running the PPU decoder on the decoder on recompiler LLVM, and it's gonna be a good time. However, I will still show at the end what happens when you try running it in static, just for those that are curious. And there you go, you got me an all-around. Nice. Let's see if we have any other things. So, just to clarify, we are actually about 20 minutes before we get to hole 2 of Valhalla. So, you guys... I don't know if I can put up a poll during a YouTube premiere version of this broadcast, or more importantly, the Twitch broadcast, depending on, well, actually no, on Twitch, on the Twitch channel, RYMDOT is not at all affiliated or partnered up, none of that. So I don't know how things will go on that end if I decide to have a broadcast over there, but yeah, you get the point. You get the point. You get 20 minutes to guess who's getting the double eagle on hole 2 of Valhalla. Will it be me? Will it be Ashley? Luna? Kato? Y'all will have a fun time finding out. Oh man, this is good stuff. So, interestingly, you know, a good amount of the clubs that we're unlocking here, not a lot of them are really sticking out in the way that they probably should. I think at this point, outside of Kate, I think I just have everybody on extra stiff shafts. Dang, see, so many terms in golf sound so sexual. That's why I have to have this as MA13. I mean, come on, extra stiff, it's a shaft. You get where this is going. That's not right. That doesn't sound right. Then again, I mean, let's not forget that time that Peter made a joke about smooth shaft in, that was Super Mario RPG. Oh, no, not Super Mario RPG. No. What I used to call Super Family Guy RPG, and what you folks might better know as Super Mario Guy. I will talk more about Super Mario Guy in an upcoming special. Some of you have probably heard about this, especially if you've been around with me on Twitter for a good long time, or if you've known me personally over the years. Quarter M. So Quarter M is an upcoming broadcast that will basically cover the past 12 years and change. Because back on June 20, we ended up getting notice that this channel has finally hit 250,000 lifetime views. It should not have taken this long to get 250,000. Especially when considering, you know, so many people that have, not people that have known me, but people that have been around as long as me and the rest of my crew. Heck, some of us have had channels go on for 15 years, or even more. Some of us have been around since 2006, when Google first bought YouTube, and they still haven't hit 250K. So I'm at least happy that, you know, I can deliver something to those longtime viewers that have known my material all the way up to now, and, you know, give back to them in a way that only I can do. And that's part of the reason why I even turned this eMachine's desktop into a sleeper PC all that time ago, because I knew that when we got to Season 12, that this would be a very big time for the channel. I knew we were breaking 250K this year, and I knew that at some point or another, everybody had to get the recognition that they rightfully deserved from me. You'll love how it all turns out. So the way the Quarter M will be handled, now I've said before this will be handled in quadrants. What I mean is that this is going to be a 4-part thing, but it'll all be in the same broadcast. When brought over to syndication, it'll probably be 4 separate parts. It'll be probably 4 separate episodes, but more on that at a better time. So, part 1 will be memories, and that will basically tackle literally every, you'll get 2 peak moments that I loved out of each individual season, and then after I'm done covering Season 12, I will then discuss one key moment that I've really loved the most out of my time doing, online programming. I'm not certain what that scene will be, but it will definitely be one that you'll all probably enjoy and love a lot. Part 2 will be, Quadrant 2 will be support. This is basically when I can talk about 5 people from every individual generation of Royameadow. So that's Generation 1. This covers both original and Neo Generation 1. Gen 2, Gen 3, Generation 4, and also a segment between 3 and 4 known as Generational Trilogy. Now, you know how since 2015 I've had the Royameadow Generational Trilogy section. In reality, Gen Trilogy was not meant to be 1, 2, and 3, or ARIG 1 to Gen 3. It's supposed to be a little section from 2017 to 19 that should have been called Late Generation 3. But in reality, this has a good amount of people that have really just made a big difference in my career between Season 7 and 10. And that's where that all comes into play. So more on that when the time comes. Then number 3. What did I call Quadrant 3? I actually can't remember right now. Score. That's what I called it. So Quadrant 3 is called Score because this will be introducing a speedrun known as Mr. Roya's Silver Tally Challenge. And Silver Tally Challenge will feature 10 games where I have to get 25,000 points in, and the frame where I get to 25,000, the game is immediately cut off. I do power on for the next game, get 25,000, keep doing that until 10 games are done. I'll give a full list of the games once the broadcast for Quarter M is released. I'll probably also do this for the 500,000 viewer special, so semi-M, and then for the 750,000 viewer special, Final Tri-Quarter M. Final quarter basically in reference to the last quarter moon, and tri-quarter basically in this situation third quarter. And I'll also do a platinum challenge for Total M. That will definitely be a fun time. And then the 4th one, I simply called it Matches. And Matches is going to be based, it'll just be 25 minutes of uninterrupted music, accompanied with just some key moments from a lot of members. So you'll basically be listening to original music, either original music or mashup mixes produced by me over the years. Some stuff that never even got released on this channel that will then be re-released later on as other things. And it will be a big celebration for all. Everybody will love every single little bit of material that I produce here, and it will just stand out in a way that, at least for me, it'll feel like a sense of, kind of a sense of wholeness. Not closure, but wholeness. because it's not often I get to do a celebration like this, and at the same time, it's been a long time since so many people have seen me. Oh, by the way, I need to mention just one thing before I continue on with this. Now, you notice that the putter there, for some reason in digital PGA Tour 14, at least in our PCS3, I'm not sure if this also happens on hardware, there is a glitch that will switch your putter back to the standard putter if you go to the customization after a practice round. I don't understand why that happens either. I can't explain it. I'm certain that somebody out there will be able to tell you more on this than I can, but yeah, that's just something I feel needs to be addressed. Wishfully, somebody in the RPCS3 community can deliver a patch. This game, as I said, it was not ready for launch. There's a lot of reasons why I say that. And yeah, it's little instabilities and bugs like that that really just put a dent in the performance. But again, back to Quarter M. I've been working on Quarter M for about the past 2 months. And it has just been a task and a half gathering up all of the old legacy footage and whatnot. Heck, some of you likely saw on Twitter that I went out of my way to once again completely gut out my Setch 2001A slim model PlayStation 3 from 2009. You folks may remember that in August of 2013, an overheating issue started happening. So the overheating issue that happened because I was playing Sanctum of Slime, Ghostbusters Sanctum of Slime, and at some point I noticed that, you see, when you get to the was it the second graveyard? No, not the second graveyard. Once you get to one of the first graveyard level, for some reason the game, especially if you're playing on 4-player mode, regardless of if you're using human or CPU players, I'm switching back to static, by the way, the game will cause the blower fan in the early slim model PlayStation 3s to speed up a bit. And this is when I decided to, you know, open it up, see everything, and see what was going on. And when I reassembled it, because again, before I disassembled it, this was the second disassembly I did. Before I disassembled it this time, you know, console was working perfectly. Put it back. VRMs were overheating. That's what was causing the system to not work properly for 9 ducking years, almost 9 years. And I didn't notice this until after, because I tried applying, that's why I bought my thing of Arctic Silver 5 back then. I applied it, and the Arctic Silver 5 was not enough, because I thought this was an issue with the Cell CPU and the RSX Reality Synthesizer. Not the case. The fact that the VRMs were exposed, what I had to do was, I had to take the thermal pads off of the Cell CPU and RSX Reality Synthesizer, put those on the VRMs, the VRAM modules, the MOSFETs, and then I ended up using because, you know, every Noctua NHD 15 comes with its own thermal compound. What is it, like the NTH4 or something around that? I used whatever was in that pen, I used that particular compound on the CPU and GPU. After, and everything else, reassembled the console. And remember, I did this during the heat wave, during that massive heat wave. The console works perfectly now! Took 27 hours and change to do it, and honestly, I'm just happy. I'm just happy that the console was able to withstand the house being 97 degrees while transferring data. I just feel bad, though, that, you know, the PlayStation 3 was certified for SATA 1 or SATA 1.5 speeds, and I'm using a SATA 3 hard drive. Even if I used a SATA SSD, it wouldn't matter. The data transfer speed would still be trash because it's still running SATA 1. You know, this really makes me kind of feel bad that there aren't ways to, I guess, recode or do certain hardware mods in order to fix that. One thing I do appreciate, though, is that, at least on the Slim and the Super Slim models, you could swap out the CPU and GPU for their more efficient counterparts. So as opposed to me running on 45 nanometer, I could probably switch out to the 40 nanometer variant of those parts, or even the 28 nanometer. Is it 28 nanometer? I think it's a 28 nanometer variant of the I think it's the GPU. So basically, when it comes to especially those late, I think like 40,000 series super slims, you end up getting the ability to use extremely smaller nodes. The only thing is, it doesn't improve performance per se. You will have better frame rate consistency in some aspects. The difference, however, is these aren't higher clocked versions of the same CPU and GPU. No, there's the same CPU and GPU on smaller nodes to discharge less power. That's why the Super Slims are so cheap, because they have extremely low wattage power supplies. And honestly, I think I probably would do that if I had the opportunity. It's either that or do a liquid metal mod of what I've already got. And I need to do that with the launch model that I have, my Sech B launch model, 20 gig. Because just playing NBA Elite 11, just going through the character customization menu, yeah, it's that loud. And remember, I think that's like a 320 or 330 watt power supply, maybe 300 to 310. I'm not sure. Can't remember right now, but I know it's over 300 watts. But yeah, again, there's roughly about 4.5, 5 years of legacy footage, and I say 5 years because there's a lot of stuff from 08 that I also ported over there from the Compact SR1200NX. But yeah, all of that legacy footage is now on Sleeper PCC, where it rightfully belongs. Man, there's a lot of old photos from just our time in junior high and senior high that I haven't seen in a long time. I've got some old, legacy footage from just everybody, and Kato should not have gone all the way over on that side of the hill, but no, I think what happened there was I accidentally held right. I held directional pad right accidentally. See, that's a good thing about playing on the DualShock 2. When you're playing PGA Tour, PGA Tour 12 to 14 on a DualShock 2, you can disable analog mode so that you can always get a straight shot. So if you don't need shot shaping, that's why I play on 4X. Other than that, I'd be playing on 6X all the time. But I feel that's probably more optimized for PlayStation Move in mind, probably not for the DualShock 2 and the 6-axis controllers. By the way, my membrane issues with the DualShock 3, because of how long it was overexposed to the extreme heat over the years, the membrane actually realigned. It's no longer suffering the rapid square button press that it was enduring back when I was recording the S Factor, in this case the Sonic Hacking Contest 11 build. So yes, I can finally test 6-axis games on our PCS3. Man, that saves a lot of time and issues, but honestly, I will probably buy myself one of those DualSense Edge controllers. Oh man, finally, we get L4 and R4. I was waiting for that for so many years. Because one of the old controller concepts that I had made a while back, I have it all on Blueprint. It was basically designed similar to a hybrid of a Mega Drive controller, in this case 6-button, and a DualShock 2. But I also basically had I had the L4, L5, L5, R4, and R5 as basically front buttons that would be next to the L and the R respectively on either side of the letter of the controller. And it was a nice concept. Made that back in 2006. I probably need to find my old art concepts for that. Man, it feels nice to come back to that after all this time. Yeah, I originally started in 06 and then finalized the concept in late 07. Yeah, I remember when I was writing some Ultimate Hero concepts based on, Yes, based on the Naruto Ultimate Ninja series. Yeah, somehow turn it from a fighting game into a flat-out RPG Phantasy Star style. Good stuff, good stuff. But that's the end of hole 1. Voting is over. If you have put in your votes, now you get to find the fruits of, now you get to receive the fruits of your labor. One of you has likely gotten to figure out who got the double eagle. Oh, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun time. Alright. Now watch what happens with Luna here. Luna is... No! That shouldn't have landed in the patch. Somehow that's not out of bounds. But fortunately she landed somewhere. She didn't land in the water. There is a water... There's a little... would that be considered a ravine? Little river there. Little river or ravine or whatever we would probably call it. And, of course, see, for some reason at night, it's easier to see that rather than, you know, during the day. And remember, this is with all the reshade filters enabled. Honestly, reshade really does well here at night. I'm actually kind of happy that I took this approach. Really looks beautiful, especially on, I mean, you see the glow on Ashley's pants there. That's not actually in regular PGA Tour 14. That's just from the filters. You also see it on Kate's socks there. Again, you really don't expect it to look that nice, but man. Man, oh man, oh man. I'm actually happy that I took this direction with the game. The clouds look lovely too. Looks significantly better than on native hardware. No two ways about it. Okay, here we go. We got another shot here. All right, Kato, you're using the 56. Get a little bit of an incline. You're going to go overpowered? No, she's going full and double eagle! Goes right in. Yeah. There you go. Kato got the double eagle. First double eagle I ever got in PGA Tour 14. And it just so happens to be on the final course. Remember what I said earlier. In PGA Tour 12, it was what? Wolf Creek 5, I got the double eagle as Ashley. It was Augusta Par 3 7, I got the hole-in-one. And now Valhalla 2 in PGA Tour 14 is Kato. But I still don't know when we will end up getting a hole-in-one. Luna is likely the one who will get the hole-in-one. She's the only one who hasn't gotten any of the big accommodations that you can get, at least for experience when it comes to this. But then again, let's not forget, she also is the first person to have gotten an eagle during my runs of PGA Tour 12. That eagle that you saw her have bounce in on Hazeltine, that was the first I ever gotten. And remember, that was on 11-11-16 criteria. And I can't stress enough. If somebody did a speed run on 11-11-10-16, man, you guys will definitely go down in the record books as probably some of the best players. Especially considering how underpowered you guys are. And remember, that's without the EA starter outfit. I didn't want to use the EA starter outfit because I wanted everybody to have their own custom design. And I think that kind of bit me in the anus in the way that I handled that. Because I probably lost more experience than I should have gotten. But then again, at the same time, remember that this was before I figured out that running PPU interpreter static was the way to go. I was still running on LLVM, so I was actually not getting nearly as much experience as I should have for a full round, or even a half round at that. Do I have any water in this? Yep. Like I said back in Season 4, that is some good water. The first time you ever heard me say that was during the Project MD commentary, and I'm happy that, I can tell you right now, Project MD 2012 will be back for Quarter M. It will definitely get a Modern Legacy revisit, especially considering just how much you can do in Project MD. I mean, my goodness, jump combos, insanely good jump combos. So the way the Project MD handles jump combos, every single time that Stephanie lands on an enemy, you get an extra 100 points. It's not like what the Sonic games do, where you do 100, 200, 500, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, and at some point 10,000. No, it's scalable by 100 every time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on and so forth. If memory serves correctly, I think, is it Gator? It's not Gator Ray, is it? No, it's I think, you know, it's Pixelated World. Pixelated World, you can get a 7-hit combo just by using the static water, and it's because of the nature of how the water works. Water in Project MD, be it the static or the water in Water Lava, will retain your attack combo. So if you're constantly going at enemies, and I think it also applies to the lava in Water Lava now that I think about it, you'll end up saving a massive amount of time gathering score. So, I mean, for anybody that probably does score runs of Project MD, or more importantly, if I ever hold a tournament for Project MD, regardless of if it's speedrun or score based, guaranteed people will be using those checkpoints. Crazy Shapes is actually the one I still have the most trouble in trying to figure out the best combos. Really, I still love Crazy Shapes even today. Easily one of the most memorable tracks. And hey, here we go. Welcome to Glitch World. All right, so this is the Glitch hole. The 4th hole in Valhalla. You see, you don't actually get to see what's going on. So yeah, it just looks like that Luna's about to shoot out the sea, but nope. Right near the hole. In fact, you don't even get to see the clouds. It's all just glitched. Sometimes the rain too will also be glitched. It'll look like flat out lines. Had that happen on the St. Andrews course, I forget what hole. I know it was before 17, and I think it was after 9. 9 is so different in 14. Not only can you drive the green in 1, you can probably get a hole in 1 if you're delicate enough. But we're all too underleveled. Yeah, that's right. Even being above level 40, we're underleveled to be able to feasibly get holes in 1 over there. But yeah, and also you're seeing here flickers. That's a grass model. So this is the problem. You do not want to have the second cut length set to long. If you set the height of it to, if it's too long, if it's too tall, then what will end up happening is that when you go to putt, you have to basically look underneath the grass. And that's basically what you'll see here. You'll see me messing with L3 a little bit, just trying to see what's below me. Below me. B-Loam. Rush B-Loam on the B-Loam Show. Again, I'll get the Super Mario guy later, but oh man, I'm just having a blast just remembering all these old memories, because again, there's just so much I have put into Quarter M that again, longtime viewers of this channel will know exactly what's up. They'll know exactly what I'm talking about. They'll feel right at home, and I hope that some of you newer viewers will also kind of feel at home too if you grew up with some of what I grew up with. And that's just one of the things about having so many connections in the entertainment scene. When you know so many people, there's just so many memories that can build up all at once. And for me, it's kind of brutal when, especially when I'm just going through old commercial breaks of old television stations. You know, I've been doing that with WSBK and WLVI lately, looking at stuff from 2001 to 06. Got to finally see what actually happened when WLVI went off the air, and then boom, the CW started. And I still can't believe that a lot of black shows ended up off of TV because of that. That was not right. Heck, we also lost Living with Fran because of that. But I'll get to all of that at a better time. I know I talked about that. I know I've talked about that a good amount of times. But, man, oh man, oh man. But no, that's not even the big jackpot. So, some of you might also remember, I'm looking up some old commercials for Empire Beauty School. I'm trying to find one, where, let's see, what is it? It was likely something that was made here in Massachusetts. It was either for a pizza or a pie. Then there's this woman, it was in the mid-2000s, so this woman is like, now, the secret ingredient is, and then you hear either this old Italian or old Greek guy go, oh, no you don't, and just turns off the power. I know that some of you from the greater Boston area know what commercial I'm talking about. I don't remember the name of the product. All I know is it's some kind of food. But that's not even the jackpot. The jackpot that I found, Blaine. Start at the top at Blaine. I used to grow up watching a whole bunch of Blaine commercials on TV. You used to air predominantly on WSBK, WFXT, in this case Fox 25. Oh, sorry, Boston 25. See, I'll always jokingly say that because I will never willingly call it Boston 25. I'll instead call it WFXT because that's what it's easier to remember right now. And then, let's see, yeah, and again, this was when WLVI was WB56, starring John Keller. Yep, that's right, John Keller used to cover the news. I don't even remember what else WLVI used to cover back then in terms of just like local programming, because, I mean, don't get me wrong, we had Kids WB, we had rebroadcasts of The Nanny on there. Was Dharma and Greg on it too? I'm trying to remember now if Dharma and Greg was aired in syndication on WLVI. I think it was. I forgot who was re-airing Mad About You, and I certainly don't remember who was re-airing Just Shoot Me. Home Improvement, I remember. Older broadcasts of Home Improvement, by the way, have the Buena Vista logo. You don't see Buena Vista anymore. I can tell you that right this second. Oh, hey, we're out of the glitch hole. So now where are we? We're on the 5th. I don't know. Does it actually make the green on that one? Just enough to pass. Yeah, that could have actually reached if it was a little more overshot. But, it's fine. It's all good. It's all fine and dandy. But, yeah. And back to Blaine for a second, because Blaine had merged with Empire at some point, and that's why you basically no longer get any Blaine commercials. But I'm still trying to find out if there was ever a long version to Empire Beauty School's I think it was like a 2008 or 09 commercial. It aired for a few years afterward. The track, you might remember, you know, if you listen to your heart, it'll tell you where to start. Yeah, you get the point. The track is called Just Be You. The lyrical structure is heavily influenced from Unwritten. Where is that? Let me go to Very Love Mixes 2. I need to remember who made Unwritten. Natasha Bedingfield, that's right. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if part of the reason why Just Be You never had another release was probably because of something with Unwritten's record label. Who even, you know, again, I got all the time in the world. Let's go to Wikipedia. Let's go to Wikipedia, find out who produced Unwritten. Let's see, oh, I accidentally typed in with a U. Okay, Unwritten. There's Natasha Bedingfield. Yeah, I have to keep remembering that that was released in 2004. I don't know why I keep thinking it was released earlier. You know what? It's probably because it's probably the Mandela effect kicking in. There was a lot of songs around that time that were all scrunched in together, so that's why I couldn't figure out. Photogenic and Epic, that's right. Photogenic Records and Epic Records, that's correct. Honestly, I honestly couldn't remember for the life of me. But obviously, for many people, if you didn't grow up hearing the track on the radio, I think it was on Radio Disney at one point. You probably remember when WSBK was re-airing it. Was doing reruns of The Hills. That's where I remember it showing up on TV for the first time. And then after that came the Empire Beauty commercial, and I'm like, really? Really? You're just gonna straight up rip off of Natasha Bedingfield? I hope that in some capacity she got some royalty payments for that. Heck, you know who hasn't gotten royalty payments for his music? I think it's Rafael Gesca of Delphine Software International. CBS, since Big Brother 6, has basically been hijacking the theme of Flashback. Yes, the original 1992 version of Flashback, The Quest for Identity, the opening theme for that, you know, that's literally the same opening melody that's used in Big Brother. And nobody outside of me has pointed out that. I've been pointing it out for years, and nobody has said anything about it. Does Rafael Gesca even have any association with CBS? And if... Man, I think I probably need to come out with that program I should have released back in 2016 or 17. How popular music is made. The program is named How Popular Music is Made, and it basically shows me comparing. It's kind of more of like a slideshow style episode because, you know, music video copyright, there would be content ID claims all over it if I did it in the way I want to. But basically the situation is, like, for example, Adele's Hello, that's actually based on some beat that somebody made back in 2011 based off of Blue Hill Avenue. What's the name of that guy? Isn't it like Mixmaster KP or something? Crap. I need to actually look up, so type in Hello. Super Producer KP, that's right. That's his name. I remember now. Yeah, I made a little mashup mix for that. Hello from Blue Hill Avenue. Did that one. I did that one around the same time I did How Could a Rip Feel So High Quality. And, oh wait, that's right, 2018. That's right, 2018 is when I was originally intending to release the program, not 16. But you get the point. I could be here all day talking about this, and you can understand the situation. Heck, you know, I've even complained a bit about, you know, how Toby Fox rose to fame with Megalovania. And Megalovania literally siphons the ending section from Breathless. Breathless is the track 1 song that you hear in Lotus 3, The Ultimate Challenge, or for those of you that grew up on the Mega Drive version, Lotus 2 RECS. The biggest example of being able to recognize that the melody was siphoned, it is in the MS-DOS version. Listen to the MS-DOS version using either the PC AdLib sound chip or Sound Blaster, and you will be able to tell right away. Same thing. We're talking about a track that came out in 1992-93, being repurposed about 15 years later, and nobody but me actually discovered that it was used. I didn't figure out that until 2016. In fact, how long has that been out for? How How long has Undertale been out for? Undertale came out in September 15 of 2015. That's right. But again, I could be here for hours talking about this. This is something I can easily talk about until the cows come home. And it really makes me hope that everything down the road will be just more bearable on the front of music production credit. Because, like, even the difference of me, though, is at least I'm not blatant with suppression of music credit. If I flat out don't know who produced something, I will basically say, this track here is produced by an unknown artist. I don't know the name of who produced this. If you are the person that produced this track, come forward. I will happily credit you. There aren't a lot of people, however, in the mainstream music industry that will willingly do that until a lawsuit is filed. And that's basically why we ended up having trouble with it in some scenarios. I think, I forget what happened with Ice Ice Baby. I forget if Queen didn't get credited at some point. I think, if I remember correctly, there was a situation where, you know, I think Prince didn't get credited for something. David Bowie definitely didn't get credited for something, and then had to get credited on reprints. So any of you that probably have those original releases, those are probably collector's items now. And the list goes on and on. And then there's the whole Roar and Brave situation where those two tracks literally sound the same. But, again, that's a totally different episode for a totally different time. Back to the game, though. So, as I said, you know, I use Steady Rain for handling putting. And, hey, glitch textures! That's also part of the reason why I use Steady Rain. Steady Rain seems to trigger all the glitch textures, no matter how well or how bad you play. But speaking of rain, it's actually getting darker around here. Right now it's 2:41. And I hear a plane overhead. So, clouds are getting darker. We're actually supposed to be getting a thunderstorm. And that's part of the reason why I'm even doing this commentary now, because I'm figuring that we're supposed to get the thunderstorm in the middle or near the end of the commentary, but it might actually happen somewhere even, like, probably maybe after we're done a little bit after the first 9. This rain, however, depending on where you are, if you are either below sea level or you're low on the z-axis here in Massachusetts, I really hope that you've somehow managed to find a way to get up to higher ground, because flash flooding is definitely going to be a problem with any storm that we get here for the next matter of months. This particular storm will be raining at a rate of up to 2 inches an hour, and it seems to be a moderate mover. So for at least here in Lynn, for example, we're probably going to keep the storm for like 90 minutes, 2 hours, a little more than that. And who knows, you might even hear a little I don't know if the microphone picks that up as me doing a as me casually doing a, what is it? I'm trying to figure out the word of thunderclap, that's right. Yeah, thunderstrike. Thunderstrike, thunderclap, either works, and Kate looks like she's going for an eagle. Still, that previous hole, though, if I could just mention, that tree. See, you gotta really be careful with where exactly you land. In reality, with how I handled that, we probably all should have just used our wood. I mean, the woods are significantly better for getting under low areas. Even if you just do a low power swing, it should just be enough to get across the water, or even bounce the water. Bouncing the water in PGA Tour 12 to 14 is interesting, to admit the least. Especially if you're playing on expert and tournament grade difficulty, because playing on the peak difficulties, you don't get to control your spin. For those who don't know how PGA Tour games, at least during this era, worked, in order to induce spin, while you're in the air, you would hold the L3 pad in a specific direction. Oh, it's mail time. You would hold the L3 pad in a specific direction and just casually tap the the cross button. It's not X. If you're on an Xbox 360, it would be the A button. So you would just tap A or cross, or fork for some of you PlayStation 4 users, and just induce as much spin power as you need. You can redirect it as much as you want until it hits the ground. I think you can probably add some extra spin after the bounce. I'm not 100% certain. Not sure if you can do it on the water either. But once all that's all said and done, oh my goodness. Calm down, stomach. Once you end up getting to the water, I think what ends up happening is mostly just exactly what you would anticipate. You probably won't be able to do any more spin. Wishfully, you've done forward spin because you're likely not going to get out the water if you've done it in a specific direction. Which actually makes me wonder about certain... because I know that the physics in the Golf Club, the Golf Club series and 2K21 are significantly different than anything Electronic Arts came out with. And I could say the same, I could say the same about Rory McIlroy as well. So I hope very much it's just easier to work with for there. But the wind. It's the wind that's the issue with 2K. And that's actually part of the reason why I didn't want to get 2K21 in the first place. Again, really love the custom courses. I love what I'm seeing out of the custom, out of just the heavy level of modularity that you get with this game. But I'm not all too 100% a fan of the ball physics, how it bounces off of, how it can bounce off of a rock hill or rock wall, and just certain things that just don't feel like they work in the same way that PGA Tour 12 and 14 do it. Oh, that should have gone. That should have gone on the green. I think all of us missed... No, we don't miss the green. We just don't get a good amount of score. Well, then again, it's a par 3. You shouldn't expect a feasible time on a par 3 like this. It's never easy. That should have gone in, Kate, though. That should have gone in. It's okay, though. It's okay, though. You got a double eagle. You can do whatever the duck you want on this course, and it won't matter. It's very likely that Ashley will win this venue, but if for all intents and purposes, it's fine. It's fine, Kate. You can do anything you want now because you got a double eagle. You dominated all of us. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. I could go on about this for days. Fun times, fun times. You know, as I said, the blur in this is unintentional. As I said, you need to disable right color buffers, even though we're all going to look like ghosts if you do that. But somehow the blur actually makes the this little screen here actually feel a little more fitting, I guess? I don't know. I guess it's just a matter of how focus blur is interpreted. Ashley, do not knock that into the... You're going to... That's going. I think it's going in the sand. Yep, in the sand. Yep, you're on the beach. I think I'm about to knock it into the sand too, aren't I? You know what? It's fine. Let's become beach buddies. Alright! It's going. It's going. Nope, I'm in the grass. If I had to say, do I prefer grassland or do I prefer the sand? Well, one, I'm not really a fan of having to be in the desert. I do not, you know, I'm 57% white. I have a lot of, I've got a little bit of Irish roots. Most of my roots, however, are Greek, at least 47, 48%. But I don't tan pleasantly now because back in 2009, I started basically, we got a series of navy curtains, so it's easy, so I can have a cooler atmosphere in the summer, and yet somehow it still reaches 94 in my room. But the problem is, because of how long I don't stay in the sun, I'm incredibly pale. I'm just like what I said earlier, you know, how Brian's white as a ghost. Yeah, haunting the area with his ghostiness. That's kind of my situation. If I'm out in the sun for too long, I don't know what will happen. I don't know what will happen. Either I'll get sunburned, or worst case scenario, my muscles are probably going to get roasted. So that's why if you ever see me outside, if I don't have on sleeves, like if I have a short sleeve shirt on, that's because, you know, it's cloudy or it's raining. It's dark enough that the sun's not going to interfere with my skin. If I'm out and about, though, I'm wearing long sleeve shirts and jackets all the ducking time. There's just no way to feasibly... Dang it, stomach! I already gave you food. I don't know what's wrong today. I don't know what's wrong. It might just be the food digesting, or I don't know. It's just not settling. It's not settling well. Well, then again, I don't think you're supposed to mix haddock fillets and meatballs with pizza. Yeah, that's right, a fish and meatball pizza. But to be a bit more explanatory into that, you know, I'm one of those guys that has to eat. Well, no, I mean, no, I'm just one of those people in general that has to eat one meal a day. So, you know, having just you know, one or two haddock fillets, having a few meatballs on a little slab of pizza, that's fine. I can live with that. I can live with that. Won't need to eat for the rest of the day. You can give me snacks. You can give me dessert. That's all fine and dandy. But this is all I don't need to worry about. But you know, speaking of dessert, you really have to look at the ingredients of what you're eating nowadays, especially considering the health factors that come with certain types of dessert. Did I mention this did I mention this yesterday? Because my short-term memory is actually kicking in. I cannot remember right now. I genuinely can't remember. But basically, so there are situations with specific ice cream that you have to be careful of, even though it's been attempted to be debunked by certain scientific groups. So again, it's a matter of debate, not a matter of misinformation on this part. So depending on what you have, it can be regular ice cream, it can be frozen yogurt, light ice cream, or something more premium. Most people, and this is why some of those smaller forms of ice cream are so expensive. Like, for example, Haagen-Dazs, and I think Tillamook as well. The reason why their ice cream is able to be the reason why it stiffens so much, but at the same time, why it's rendered as healthier, is because unlike most other forms of ice cream, they're using skim milk. Skim milk obviously has no fat in it. If you get regular ice cream that's based on whole milk, or at least has all the milk fat that you would typically see in whole milk. And that's ultimately why some people might have issues with the amount of intake, or if taken too much, it might cause issues with their weight. Light ice cream, however, is not the alternative. See, I would be okay if light ice cream, if all it had was just specific forms of, specific unique forms of sweeteners, and if it just uses skim milk. I'd be okay with that. But here's the problem. So, regular ice cream uses high fructose corn syrup. Not nearly as dangerous as, it's probably a little more dangerous than sugar, but it won't kill you if you have a little bit of it. But in light ice cream, depending on your genetic makeup and a few other things that could probably come into factor with your health, light ice cream uses carrageenan. Carrageenan is a red seaweed. And in some people, it can cause issues with blood flow, and it can cause potential stroke-like symptoms. I even tried some from Breyers, and the situation happened. Not even 3 hours after having it. Didn't eat anything else for the day. And I'm noticing I was having trouble moving my knees. There was a firm stiffening in my neck. And that lasted for at least 3 days after the fact. The only thing that saved me was the fact that I drink a lot of water. I'm drinking at least 40 to 80 ounces of water a day. And that's the only thing that will keep me intact. But again, I cannot 100% say if the debate on carrageenan will ever be handled. There have been many calls for its discontinuation. I don't know if that will ever happen. But quite frankly, if you're making light ice cream, the only thing you should be changing is the type of milk you're using and a sweetener. But you should not be using something such as seaweed. You should just be using sugar, or something or just use less sugar. Or even reduce the amount of high fructose corn syrup. Use skim milk instead of whole milk. The rest is all self-explanatory. You don't need to add arbitrary ingredients to something that already doesn't need it. And that's all I'll say on the matter for now. And I could kind of say the same thing for soda. Because, you know, if you grew up in the 60s, any of you who is watching this, and you're well over 50, you know for a ducking fact that soda back in the day, all soda was made with sugar. But when we started seeing, you know, Diet, Max, Zero Sugar, and also Life series from like Coca-Cola and whatnot. So once you started seeing all of those, sugar was replaced with artificial sweeteners. So we're talking about sucralose or Splenda. We're talking about alternatives to Truvia. And a few other things. The list goes on and on. Obviously, you know, we know that there has been consistently reports that if you use artificial sweeteners in your drinks, be it, you know, tea, coffee, soda, you name it, anybody who drinks, you know, zero sugar or diet soda increases their risk of heart attack and stroke by 61% per drink. Not per bottle, per drink. And that's likely out of a regular serving. I cannot count the amount of times that CBS 4 Boston has covered this over the years. WCVB, WHDH, WFXT, they all covered it at some point or another in the past 15 years. And companies are still using it. Again, if it were up to me, if I were running the caffeinated and decaffeinated soda industry, yeah, everybody would be running on sugar. They wouldn't be using corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup. But I can guarantee you, Coca-Cola would not go back to cocaine. Just like I talked about during the Mojo commentary, allegedly back in the day, cocaine used to be used in Coca-Cola as a core ingredient. And that's why some folks, like, you know, even members of my own family, they would always say back then in the late 60s, early 70s, whenever they'd have Coca-Cola, compared to, you know, the formula that they use now, everybody used to experience back then is like their nostrils would be burning after drinking it. And that ain't right. Something's not right about that if that's happening. But as I said, there used to be a time where, you know, cocaine was a remedy drug. It wasn't what we have now in the form of crack and other things. That's a totally different situation. That's a totally different situation when that started up, say, you know, 1979, early 80s, well, at least here in Massachusetts. Again, that's what Blue Hill Avenue, the film, was all about. That's what that whole Duggan film was about. The rise of illegal drugs in the Mattapan and Dorchester area between 1979 and 91. And that's why I still feel that film is probably one of Alan Payne's best and most memorable works, even to this day. Memorable cast, memorable soundtrack. Heck, one of my family members is in that film. I mean, he plays as one of the main antagonist's bodyguards, but either way, I mean, you know, again, nice little role there. And I think he also produced some of the music for the film too. I think at least 4 tracks. And again, I could go on about this until the cows come home, but if you have never watched Blue Hill Avenue, get it in any capacity that you can. If you can get it through the official channels, do it. If you have to get it through a torrent, do it. Just get it however you have to, and just watch it. Enjoy it for what it's worth, because this is probably one of the best definitions of a... Can we consider this to be a moderate budget film? Because it's not a low budget film in the way it was produced, and it's not. I can't consider it to be a AAA movie, but it's definitely one that still sticks, and especially that opening theme.
Sells flag and pop, newborn sugar, and your wife says you to stop. Child out loud, realize something you can have. A lifetime will last.
Oh wait, it's a life here on Blue Hill Live. You get the point. But yeah, again, I grew up with that entire era of Boston. Late 90s to 1997 to 07, no, 96 to 07. And considering just everything that happened during my time there, and knowing just how worse it has gotten, I hope that during the Michelle Wu era of Boston that we will see significant impacts to the welfare of, you know, the Mattapan, Dorchester, Upper and Lower Mills, Hyde Park, Rosendale. That entire area of Boston has been in dire need of an overhaul for such a long time. It actually also makes me wonder what would have happened too if I don't know if, do some of you remember the Mandela campaign? There was a campaign to basically overhaul a lot of Boston and turn it into its own individual city, Mandela. But honestly, I know for a fact that had that ended up going in the way that it was originally anticipated to, the city probably would have been worse off in terms of resources. I can't be 100% certain about its fate or what would have come and gone of it, but I know it would have been significantly different than what I ended up growing up in. And that's kind of saying a lot too, because one of the other things I kind of appreciate as well is that, as I said, I'm a 57% white man, 33% black, 16 to 21% Asian, 0.2% Native American, 3% Pacific Islander, you name it, all based on my report on Ancestry. But because of the nature of just how diverse Mattapan and Dorchester were, we didn't experience racism in the way that you would think. Like, we didn't experience, anybody calling us anything, any kind of slurs or whatnot. And, I've heard everything in the book because everybody used all the terms so frequently and fluidly that it would be etched in your memory by the time you were in grade 6. And I will have an entire commentary about that whenever I revisit the Punch-Out commentary. You guys know, anybody who has watched me since Season 3 know exactly what I'm talking about. And that dates back to something I picked up in 2006. I'll talk about that again when the time comes. But, yeah. And then when I think about it, because, I came here to win. I came here to Lynn, and again, fortunately, I didn't really deal with any kind of, racism among my own peers because, at first glance, I'm a white man who just happens to be heavily mixed. I'm the whitest black man you'll probably meet in this part of town, who just so happens to be heavily mixed with everything. But where the racism and the power harassment came from, those in authority. So, people that run apartment complexes, people who were running Lynn Public Schools that ended up having to be ousted because of racist infidelities, and just a whole bunch of other things. And there's been many a story about the law enforcement. All of that, even if you look like them, you're not going to be dry. That's the best way to put it. You know how Tezonde says, in Chocolate Rain, some stay dry and others feel the pain? Some stay dry basically means some people could go through their entire life not experiencing this in some capacity or another. And others feel the pain. They'll endure it even if they didn't do a damn thing. And that's not something you'll hear me say often. But it is something that will get me a bit livid. It's not something that should be happening in 2020X era Massachusetts. And I appreciate that, we're in an era now where that won't be tolerated. It'll still happen. Nice bounce in, Eagle, Lena. Nice. It'll still happen, but not to the degree that it did decades ago, or even a few years ago. But do I believe that it's something that should be fixed, something that should be heavily remedied, and basically wiped out of existence? Yes. I would happily go on to an episode. If at some point I ever had the opportunity to, go to WGBH's studio and talk about this with, Jim Browdy or Kelly Crossley, because is Basic Black still running? Are we getting a, Doc, what's the season now? Because I think we're about to enter season 53, I think. Is it season 53? No. Because Say Brother debuted in 1968, right? Let me look. Say Brother, check it and see. I got a feeling. No. Yeah, no. 1968 to 97. Oh, so that means that when it rebranded as Basic Black, dang, it's been 25 years. Oh my goodness. And here's the thing, Greater Boston is also 25 years now. I feel so bad about what they did about what WGBH did to Emily Rooney, though. I mean, just axing Beat the Press, and now Beat the Press is a podcast, right? Went from being a panel-based talk show on a couch to now being, is now a radio program, right? But, at least Emily Rooney still has full ownership of the IP. I hope that because of her ownership of the IP that she can probably, have all episodes from WGBH re-aired at some point. But if that doesn't happen, I guess we'll have to go to the WGBH archives and preserve everything. Speaking of which, I'm still trying my best to find certain station IDs that have not been preserved yet. You remember during early Season 7, during a Side Pocket 2 MD commentary, that I talked about a variant of the November 25 of 2013 station ID where the WGBH logo is plastered on a turquoise motherboard and white balls of energy are flowing in. You saw that when I did the Greater Boston 20th Anniversary ID. I made a mock-up of it. And for good reason. So, with the information that I know now and remember now, the ID in question began airing during the final week in June. So we're talking about the week of June 29 of 2014. And up until they started doing the community slash city timelines and city time lapses and triangles. That's what it's better known as. That started airing sometime in March of 2015 to probably either February or March. So maybe it could have been February 6 or 7 or March 6 or 7. I know it wasn't January 3. I think I remember that. But either way. Oh wait, no, January 3. That's not. Oh, that's not right. I accidentally went out of the calendar there. That I accidentally went to 2023. No, it could have been February 3. It could have been March 3. That's what I meant. But you get the point. If you have any form of DVR recording between June 29 of 2014 and early March of 15, so basically first week of March of 15, any time within that time frame, please upload your recordings. And if you have any station breaks, if you got the station ID, please share it. We are still trying to get that preserved. Roughly, what, 8 years and change later? My goodness. It should not take this long, but then again, there are station IDs and end-of-program IDs that haven't been seen for over 40 years, maybe even over 80, that still haven't been preserved to the public. Heck, wasn't there like a few hundred episodes of Doctor Who that have been lost to the fabric of time because at the time BBC used to just destroy all the old footage or something? I forget exactly what the practice was back then, but again, same situation. Same situation. Especially for these, for some of these works that were only shown on TV for a small amount of time, it's just as bad as Satellaview. And you know how many times that I've talked about, nice long drive, you know how many times I've talked about Satellaview in the F-Zero commentary, because the big issue, here we go, we're about to see Kato use the, is she going to use the 3 hybrid? No, she's going to use the 3 wood. Okay, so you watch what happens with Kato here. So Kate will use a slight drive here, using the 3 wood, and get onto the green. That's how you do it. That's how you do a close approach. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So obviously, you know, there are a lot of exclusives that were released for the Satellaview that still have not seen a proper archival. And the BSX cartridges are being heavily looked for by the community. In fact, certain resellers have been high on alert and upping their prices to over $100 because they understand the collector's value in them and the content of what may be inside. So if you have a Super Famicom with the Satellaview system, you know, you might be able to, you know, siphon off whatever's on it. I forget the resources that you need for it. I think Luigi Blood has some of the hardware that's necessary to do it. But the big thing that we're waiting for right now, it hasn't been seen since 2000 or 01, whenever Satellaview ended. No, I think it was 2000. We're still waiting for BSF-0 Grand Prix 2. And BSF-0 Grand Prix 2, from what we're now aware of, has 4 days. Just like how the original BSF-0 Grand Prix from 1996 handled matters, where it also had 4 days. There is currently a bounty of $5,000. That's $2,500 for just week 1 and 2. If week 3 and 4 are found, I hope that'll be another $2,500 per ROM. But yeah, this will be a very fun time if this is ever discovered. So the one who has the bounty up here is Perf Guide Wad. So obviously, you know, the venues that we're looking for, Forest 1 to 3 and Metal Fort 1 and 2. But, as I've said before, if there really is a week 3 and 4 that has not been archived from a VHS capture, or just somebody who doesn't happen to have the ROM, that means that there may be even more courses than we already know. There may be more venues that we've never heard about. or that outside of Japan haven't been seen. And I kind of feel bad that, at least from what I can tell, I don't know if anybody, I don't even know if anybody has any information on it, or more importantly, if there are any Japanese forums or anything where it's been talked about. And that's what, see, that's still the brutal cultural gap, or regional gap that we have. Back then, there was never a 100% consideration for archival. I mean, when people were just filming stuff on TV, I mean, recording stuff on TV with their VHS tapes and VHS recorders, they didn't think that, you know, that footage would probably be nearly as important now as it would ever be. And that's why we have to keep the, that's why we have to keep this practice alive. It has become so essential to keep every little piece of media. And that's also another reason why, you know, whenever the time comes, because, you know, again, my hard drives have decades worth of material that you'll never find anywhere else. I have public service announcements that were made at North Shore Community College in 1991 that have not seen the light of day on TV or online in over 30 years. That's just how much I have on my person. I have DVDs of interviews, school interviews, sports competitions, you name it. You won't find them anywhere else but through me. And that's why I'm saying, you know, with the E-Machine Sleeper and with any future Sleeper PC I do, I keep saying that the PowerSpec 4322 is going to be next for its 25th anniversary next year. Wishfully, Intel gets its issues with Arc fixed so I can get the Battle Mage flagship. Because, man, that's going to be that'll be an ideal encoder and AI accelerator. But yeah, all these Sleeper PCs will be running on massive capacity hard drives. And now Seagate, recently in a program from Gamers Nexus, Steve Burke basically reported that Seagate next year will be finally shipping out 30 terabyte hard drives. 30 terabytes. And keep in mind, we haven't seen SATA 4. That's still SATA 3. So hope to duck that you have some form of, well, actually, I don't know. Would hard drives nowadays have that hybrid setup that, you know, solid state hybrid drives have? You know, it's a hard drive that just happens to also have a little bit of solid state storage. I'm not really 100% certain on that. The Fire CUDA, that's what I'm thinking of. Honestly, though, I don't know how well SSHDs are in the general sense of things. I obviously would never use them as boot drives, but I also don't know if those will also be adopted for just regular hard drive use. But I'm certain that there will probably be a big discussion about that years from now, when, you know, we're getting 50 terabyte hard drives and we're still stuck on such slow speeds. But we'll probably get to that when the time comes. Man, doing work as an archivist has never been so important until now. Well, no, it's never been as important as it is now, and it will really make a difference once that time comes, that we're having all these large anus drives saving everything in as high of a quality and frame rate as possible. In fact, that's still a problem even today, frame rates. That's actually kind of a good thing here, because now again, you're seeing how I'm having to keep this at close to 30 FPS without doing interpolation, but this is more so to show how the game functions in specific areas. CBS 4 lately has, well, this is a network-wide issue with CBS, because I've also seen this on other networks. I'm assuming that lately, everywhere that runs CBS, or anybody who runs a CBS IP, has had a problem with frame rate consistency. The Young and the Restless is the show that I complain about the most about this, because you'll see, like, just watch an episode of The Young and the Restless on a regular TV. Nothing that has frame interpolation, so nothing that has LG's TrueMotion or Samsung's AutoMotion Plus. Have that disabled while watching theater. And just watch in a certain scene, you'll see the action going on in 60 FPS, and then it'll just immediately cut over to 30 FPS in the same scene for no apparent reason. OBS Studio right now also suffers the same thing. You can be filming at 60 FPS, and for some reason it'll just casually drop to 30. CBS 4 News, around the time of the NBA Finals, Celtics versus Golden State. For some reason, when we were getting coverage from Steve Burton, Dan Roach, and everybody else over in San Francisco? The situation was the news anchors were using 60 FPS, the reporters in Boston were using 60 FPS, in Los Angeles, 30 or 24, consistently. And those cameras were never fixed. When they were brought back to Boston, now anytime you see anybody out in the field, so we're talking about David Wade, Anna Myler, I know it's Anna Myler, Louisa Moeller, Chris Tanaka, Tiffany Chan, Courtney Cole, the list goes on and on. There's a lot of new people. Yeah, for some reason, the frame rate will either be locked at 30 or dip into 15 or even 10. That should not be happening with a network that is known for its 60 FPS. And I hope that when ATSC 3.0 comes over here full time, that, you know, CBS 4, if they don't, if the folks over there don't get their frame rate issues settled, they will have no excuse when you're able to air in up to 2160p at 120 FPS. Sure, you're able to cover the news regardless, but you shouldn't have to worry about it having such a level of choppiness when we didn't have that issue with live TV even back in the 50s and 60s. Or even in the early 2000s, when everything was mostly still film. This is an issue that started up when digital started reigning supreme. And it's a bit ironic coming from me, because most of the stuff I had to render back in the day, because, you know, I used to use Windows Movie Maker, you couldn't save in higher than 30 FPS because either it just wouldn't save or would take too long. YouTube is also kind of guilty of this. Twitch is guilty of this. Because you would think that below 720p, you should be able to get 60 FPS now. Not the case. And I said this last time. If you want to get 480p 60 on YouTube, it has to be in portrait mode, and the height of it has to, either the height or the width has to be, it has to be 1280 or higher. So it can assume it's quote-unquote HD, and that's what triggers the high frame rate. That's not right. That is not right whatsoever. I could complain about quality compression, but as you see, actually, this program, as you see here, is not encoded with, it's not being decoded with VP9. It's not encoded with VP9 or AV1 on here unless if the viewership or my subscriber or this channel subscriber count is extremely higher than it is at the time of uploading, and that's because, you know, I'm just uploading in 720p. I'm not uploading in, as a base minimum, you need to have Hyper HD or Ultra HD in order to get VP9 right off the bat. In order to get AV1, you need to have a certain viewership, at least in like the high 100,000s, low millions. To get VP9, you need at least, I want to say, about 3,000. If you're still in the low thousands, like between 1 and 3,000, it'll most likely be AVC until it's all changed over. But that'll be fixed later this decade, especially once YouTube enforces AV1 on everything. Yep, AV1 for all, come 2025 or 26. No, it's 2026 for Twitch. In fact, I'm actually quite surprised that Twitch doesn't really use VP9. Yeah, you could be in 1080p or 1440 and you'll still have AVC for some stupid reason or another. water tastes pleasant. And we're on the final hole here. Ooh. Yeah, if you curve that badly, you're going in the water. So, I'm pretty sure that at this point you've seen what happened throughout this entire run. You know, I'm just rambling about other things. You're just watching, you're just here for golf. And, you know, I'm actually kind of happy I can at least talk about something else while you enjoy what's on screen. So, you know, if you need to be busy doing something else while watching the program, you know, fun things, fun times. But yeah, yeah, Ashley basically won this venue, and kind of no surprise, especially considering how Kato ended up handling the rest of this venue. Again, Valhalla is not friendly. Like, there will be some holes you could just do phenomenal on, and again, that double eagle will forever be etched in all of your memories, and mine, for basically well past the end of time. But I can easily say that trying to get a good score on here is just not enough. You need to be over-leveled for this place. I think I'll probably come back to this once we're all deep into high 80s and low 90s, especially once we get to some of the fantasy courses and whatnot, once the DLC is runnable on our PCS3. I love the Highlands. Highlands is honestly the best venue out of all of PGA Tour. At least just because of everything you can do when playing from the red. I never play from the black. I don't play from the black unless if everybody's at max stats or unless I'm playing as Super Tiger Woods. Yeah, anybody remember Super Tiger Woods? In fact, PGA Tour 12 actually did have some, I think it was 6 of the old cheat codes that were used between 04 and 11, which would have allowed you to unlock everything, including the You Demand cheat. And alright, Kate ends on an eagle. Yeah! But yeah, unfortunately, cheat codes cannot be done in 14. I don't think they can be done in 13 either. Because at least for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 builds, they got rid of, yeah, EA Sports and its devs got rid of everything. And yes, Ashley wins! She got her payback after Kato beat her in that playoff. Oh, that was a phenomenal playoff match, though. But you see how close this was. 1 point between these two, and somehow, because of that bogey that Kate got on 16, that's what cost her the match. This could have gone to another playoff. But yeah, it'll just be nice to see. Yeah, it's nice to see certain elements of certain elements of PGA Tour brought back into the later titles. Especially, eventually, cheat codes do come back for 24 or 23 or whatever EA Sports decides to call it. And we're actually, I think, yeah, we're coming up into like the end of the broadcast here. I'm going to show you how bad customization is on. Yeah, customization is here. Now, when we come back to the menu, now this track right here, this is my favorite track in the game. Let me just make sure. Yeah, this is my favorite track in the game. This is called Reunited. Now, Reunited was developed by, I actually need to go into Virtual DJ for this, made by Luke Richards. This track would be used in the 2013 film Beat Girl, which I don't know if it's a remake of the 1960 film of the same name. It would also be renamed to Words for the Ages. That is a 2014 or 15 film based on the Gettysburg Address. And when I heard this track for the first time, now, those of you that grew up here in the greater Boston area, you watched WGBH, during the PBS Kids block, you would hear the track General Lee's Solitude from the 1993 film Gettysburg. That's what Reunited reminds me of. Yeah, Reunited / Words of the Ages. This track, it's those ducking violins. The violins just kick in, and like you could just be out in a field, up in the hills or somewhere, or you could be, you know, hanging out at the water, and this track kicks in. this is the perfect song for its intended purpose, either for a reunion or for, you know, the sense of coming home at the end of the day. And another track that also gives me that same vibe, especially if you're, you know, hanging out at the top of a hill during a sunset, or you're on a date and you make camp somewhere. If you've played Front Mission, you know what I'm about to say. The world map, the general situation. Love that track. Those are those trumpets? They're military style trumpets, but man, it just hits the heart, man. It hits the heart, and you feel it trails all throughout your body. It could be late in the afternoon, late in the sunset, and you know, you see all the clouds. They got these nice shades of sky blue, silver, gold, and pink, and it just makes me just way too happy, man. Just way too ducking happy. The Wonder Swan color version, though, oh my goodness, the Wonder Swan color version of the general situation, such a good track. Such a good track. I would definitely recommend you to listen to that. It actually kind of reminds me of the name entry track in Crystal Castles. And there's just so much more I could discuss, but unfortunately, I can't talk about more. We're at the end of the broadcast. Thank you for watching me over the past 3 hours and change. This was fun. I didn't expect that, you know, I'd be able to get through the past 90 minutes without having to worry about the thunderstorms. 3:30 now, and I'm looking out there. You know, we got the clouds, but we don't have the thunder. We don't got the rain. It's completely fine over here. Oh, sounds like a car backfired, but hey, that's fine. So I'm gonna walk through the house so I don't have to worry about any more background noise. Oh, so I'm looking here. So I think we got Jeremy Reiner here on WHDH talking about the storm. It's currently flooding over Route 85, Route 20, Interstate 495. Yeah, and Sudbury, Wayland, Natick, Maynard, they're all getting hit badly right now. So yeah, they're all getting the heavy rain. That's something that'll have to be dealt with. But don't worry, we'll all be fine. That'll be hitting us in the next hour. But yeah, so the next time that you see me, I have one more program that I need to release that I recorded back on August 8. And was it August 8? Okay, so basically, I was cleaning the recording room, in this case the bedroom, trying to find, you know, an old newspaper, specifically the one where Ashley was doing Dancing at Leanne Leslie's, just prepping up for her performance at the Orange Bowl back in 2013. And while I was looking for that, I ended up coming across an old Gatorade bottle. Yeah, that's right, an old Gatorade bottle that somehow, amazingly, still tastes as it did over 11 years ago. It's a bottle from 2011. It's a Gatorade Thirst Quencher Cool Blue. You guys will enjoy that program. It's a little mini program that I will be releasing soon, probably in the next few days or so. And yeah, you'll definitely like the direction I took with it. It might remind you of a certain British comedian who also goes through old foods and drinks and whatnot. And yeah, so yeah, all of us are gonna have a gay old time. So after that, it will just be full steam ahead for Quarter M. See, I don't know when Quarter M will come out because I still need to get some interviews done. I might need to get Bella DeGrazia of Generation 2 for this, if she's available. I might need to get some other folks around if I can't get her. But I'll discuss that with everybody when the time comes. That'll be good for us. We'll be able to just go through all these good memories, and it'll be a big party, big celebration for thousands of people. But until then, I have been freelance entertainer Roya Rockwood. Hope you enjoyed this broadcast. A lot more to come as we finish up season 12 in the next month and change. So we'll see you then.